Okie dokie. um, I don't know why, but even if you delete them, they're not deleting off the chat, by the way, Shiryu. So, kind of screwed there, man. Um, but I don't the chat box is what I'm referring to, but I have no idea what you actually said beforehand because I can't actually see the history, which is crazy, but it is what it is. Um, in other words, or in other news, welcome everybody that is actually currently watching, and to all the people watching the VOD. I'm gonna give a very, very long. It's not that long of a speech, but there's a lot of new viewers slash people that are not familiar with this kind of content, so I'm gonna basically do a big old. You could call it a disclaimer of sorts, but technically it's not a disclaimer. It's just to get people situated. So. With that being said, for those of you new here, the name is ZeroML. I'm being a little bit more, not completely, just a little bit more professional about tonight's stream because a lot of the people who saw the last one are completely new to the channel. So, let me go ahead and simplify things so no one is confused, alright? First things I want to make clear is that for any analysis I did last stream, I mentioned that the way drafts are picked were in a certain order. I would like to correct the statement I made and let you guys know that, okay, pay attention. The actual draft order is blue ban, red ban, blue ban, red ban, blue ban, and then another red ban for a total of 6 bans in ban phase 1. Then it goes 1 blue pick, 2 red picks, 2 blue picks, and 1 red pick for pick phase number 1. And then for ban phase number 2, it is 1 red ban, a blue ban, a red ban, and 1 last blue ban. Okay, so that's for ban phase number 2. And then for the final pick phase, you have 1 red pick, 2 blue side picks, and then 1 final red side pick. Blue side's usually on the left, red side's usually on the right, and that's usually regardless of the team, okay? Other than that correction, I did also miss 1 BTK game draft analysis last stream, so I do apologize for that. We will cover that in this stream. As for the games that we will be covering when the stream is over with, I will go back and add timestamps like I did for last stream for each section so that when you take a look at whichever draft is the one that you fancy, you can go ahead and basically easily find it. The structure of the draft analysis will be by reviewing the phases in which the draft happens, talking about the ban phases, then the pick phases, so that each analysis will basically have a 4 breakpoint structure. But due to the nature that this is a live stream and I do interact with the live viewers, even though they are a little bit off topic sometimes, and they are a little sus at sometimes, they do sometimes as well offer questions, comments, and there's other points of view that I would have never thought about or that maybe they wouldn't have thought about. That's why we are here to interact, okay? The stream can go off topic a bit at some points, but if you're viewing this as a VOD, it shouldn't be a problem for too long because it will be basically organized with the chapters feature of YouTube. Other than that, if we do end up going too far off topic, it probably is for a good reason, like we need a mental break from all the draft analysis. But yeah, other than that, what I do recommend is that you look at a particular draft you find interesting or a game where you thought that maybe I don't know why they lost that game, the draft is better. And then see what I have to say about it, and maybe we both agree, and it was just a draft execution issue. But because this is a draft analysis, we do not take into consideration the hero pool of each team or the skill level of the execution of draft of any team either. This is basically pure draft analysis. The only bias in the draft analysis would come from points that I will basically articulate when talking about said drafts. With that being said, I will show you the drafts that we will be taking a look at tonight. Alright, so let me go through those real quick. Week 2, day 1 drafts. Well, it doesn't start there. Technically, it starts at week 2. Week 1, day 2 with the BTK one I missed, which was this one right here. Because on last stream, I was just way too excited to talk about the Phobius, I believe, and the Harith and why they went to like multiple fighters. So we'll go over this one first, and then we'll be going through these drafts right here. There's a couple of issues in the pick and ban interface that it's not the caster's fault. It's just a game issue, I guess, or whatever mechanism they were using to show the drafts. The game basically, or the screen they were using glitched out right here, so I'm glad we at least got to see the bands right before it glitched out. Like literally the second we saw all the bands, it went like poof. And then we're like, okay, well, I don't know what the other picks were. Well, here they are, you know, right here. So we'll be using that. Don't worry, I got y'all. Then we'll go for this Fallout A77, etc., etc. Just follow the order top down, basically. I'll go right here so you can pause as well. And I believe there's a little one more set right here. That should be it with the Empire Vs Wasians, yeah, being the last of day 1. On day 2, there was 11 matches. Yeah. So. And here's another one. I just wrote in Arlott on my phone because, again, Trex actually came in and said, yo, for all those of you viewing, this was this is what was banned. It didn't show up, but yeah, so yeah, this is thank you, Trex, for saying that during the casting. It's critical for people who gather data like me. And they have Empire versus Fallout games. I watched quite a few games this time, but yeah. So that's basically it for no, wait, no, the BTK ones, of course, can't forget about those. I believe they were the closing games of last night. So that's what we got for what we're going to be talking about, and I'm just going to go back to my statistics page. I believe Deku has joined the VC, so yeah, Deku will be here tonight, and I'm gonna go ahead and give Deku a big thanks. Let me actually unmute the Discord before Deku starts talking, and then I hear him, but y'all don't. So yeah. So big shout out to Deku for showing up despite casting 11 games yesterday, which is insane. He'll be here to give us his own point of view on the drafts as well. So usually whenever you combine brains, you usually end up learning something you didn't expect initially. That's usually how it works. So yeah, Deku, you can go ahead and say hi. You should be unmuted. Everybody should hear you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What's good, chat? Real quick though, Zero, can you give my
let me see if
other account in the chat first, so I can join? With
you have a different account? Can you ping
yeah.
me? Can you ping me?
It's in the discussion. Yeah, I did.
Okay, okay. Got you. I see it. I see you. Okay. 1 second here, sir. I suck at Discord, so bear with me.
Oh, good.
Where is it? Should have it.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, okay. I needed both tonight because the action never stops. Man. Got those scrims tonight.
Got you.
All right. Finally get to make it. Supposed to be here last time.
I told him you fell asleep. Nah, I told him I don't know what happened, but we knew you casted the whole day beforehand, so I was like, it's okay. We G next, you know. But yeah. So normally I'd just get started talking about the draft. Do you want to talk about any statistics? I mean, that's how I started last stream, just because I was just excited about the stats, but I mean, there's nothing really to say here. I changed the format to actually be like percentage wise for picking bands. But
are you showing in here? Where am I looking?
Oh yeah, you can. You have the sheet, or I can cast to here, but it would probably glitch out.
Oh, is that what we're looking at? The sheet?
Yeah. So I mean, I just had it organized differently. And then but that's what we're looking at. I'm just going on tabs off the sheet basically to look at the drafts because I have everything, even the draft like screenshots of it. I have it on the sheet as well. So we have like a talking point, like looking at a piece of paper. But yeah. I mean, I don't think I have much to say about the picks other than we have 70 heroes in NA in 40 matches. Sorry, the hero pool be deep. That's like that's more than half, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's because it's like 100. It's I want to say like 17, maybe.
Like 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean we have.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
quite a deep hero pool here. But yeah, I think we need to talk about actually what I want to talk about besides the draft analysis. We'll talk about it later though. Is a couple of heroes that are not getting drafted properly. Mainly Cho and Arlott. Like they're like you can't just pick them because they're good. You gotta. Arlott is like dumb weak if you can't draft him in the right comp. Same with Cho.
Arlott is actually. I'm really not that familiar with Arlott. Like I haven't
he he
been
doesn't work.
interested in trying them out.
He doesn't work for most teams, and it's for a very specific reason. It's just that they don't draft him right. Like you can't. He's not like Yuzong. You can't just like slap in a Yuzong and say G next. He's a little bit more niche than that, but very strong in that niche. But we'll talk about him later. All right. So I skipped one draft. We're actually doing an extra draft Deku because I forgot this one last week because I was excited. I was too excited to talk about the no marksman Empire draft against BTK with the Granger. Made Granger look absolutely monstrous. So I got distracted by talking about that, and I was just like, oh, I completely forgot this whole match. So BTK week 1, day 2, match 1.
Do you have?
Yeah, I
Do
completely
you have
forgot to
that
talk
link?
about this one.
Oh no, it's none of your thing. Can you send that the link to it to this account
Yeah, I got you. Give me a sec.
so I can go through? Because I'm still like waiting to invite these people on my other phone.
Don't worry if you guys saw my email. That's my official email, anyways.
One thing Zero's not going to do is dox himself, as he puts it.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
So I'm on week 1, day 2 tab.
All right.
All right. So, let's talk about the bands. I was telling them earlier that we're gonna do it like in the method of phases. So we're talking about the first band phase, then the first pick phase. Well, chronologically how they would draft it. Because it makes it easier to point out drafting errors or weaknesses or strengths. You know what I mean? If you go in chronologically, then you can't just be like, hey, yo, this comp weak against this comp and be like, yeah. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. You kind of discredit yourself in a sense. But yeah, so for this match, Empire was first pick, and they went ahead and, which is weird that they would ban the Wan on the first pick, but they did it. They banned Wan, Fanny, and Selena. Now the Selena, that's what threw me off when. But they didn't do it in ours. Wan, then Joy, then Fanny, then Diggy, then Selena, then Faramis.
Which week are you on?
Week 1, day 2. I missed the first BTK match, bro. So I'm looking at BTK match number 1 against Empire.
Oh, you're down here. Okay.
Yeah,
The first pair was like, I was like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, I'm here with you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So they banned Empire banned Wan, answered by Joy, then Fanny, then Diggy, then Selena, then Faramis. So I would say BTK drafts the first 3 bans are okay. Like, okay, makes sense. The Wan on a first pick as a ban is okay. Just I would think you would want the Wan, open, but still it's okay. But the Selena though, what? I didn't understand that one, to be honest with you. I guess they're just leaving picks open, and that's the only thing they could ban. But they could have banned something more meta. You know what I mean? Than Selena. But I guess that's the only points I have to mention there. Any comments on your side for the ban phase other than that? I mean, I think that's pretty much. I don't think there's much to argue there. It's standard bans except for Selena. Unless Deku is lagging, question mark? I heard and Deku's also hosting scrims right now, so if he's a little bit unresponsive, don't mind him much. Yeah. Okay. Deku, can you hear me, sir? Okay, Deku's gone for now, so we'll he's still here in VZ, but I guess something happened to his equipment or something. Uh, moving along then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There he is.
Okay.
Welcome back, sir. So yeah, any other comments, sir, on the first ban phase? I don't think there's much to say other than what is this? No, Selena.
Um, nah, yeah. I mean, you got it. I'm not gonna like. I'm not gonna circle back and repeat because I wasn't able to hear everything. Because
I mean,
I had
all
an
I said
issue
was
with
it's
the
pretty
headset.
standard except for Selena. I mean, that's the only pick I didn't understand. Too many meta options open to leave Selena open. I mean, to ban
Yeah, I don't
Selena.
know why they banned Selena. They don't play Selena. BTK is not really gonna pull it out
Yeah.
often. Not in like the 1-1 ban. I think I heard you about the 1-1 ban. That's typically a red side ban.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they banned it blue side. That could have been a ban they could have made BTK go for.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but they picked up Valentina. Options on the table at that point were Fredrinn, Glue. I mean, so many picks were open, but I guess Valentina is good. Puts a lot of pressure on draft. Good blue side first pick kind of thing. Debatable
That
if
was
you want to take it
backwards
over
too.
Fredrinn though.
That's backwards as well. I feel like they just did everything backwards. They banned one instead of something else, which is normally red side. And then like if you look at PH like more often than not, the Fredrinn gets locked in, and then it's like a Valentina
Yeah. So
Glue, Valentina Ferran, or not Ferran, it's Valentina like Melissa, something like that. But Fredrinn is blue side like 90% of the time.
and so the reason that Fredrinn usually gets picked first side in PH is because they actually draft a lot of Ube comps for Fred, like healers. So it makes Fred like it doesn't matter if you have Valentina because Fred will out heal anything Valentina can steal basically. Um, that's why, in case you're wondering, if you're an NA and you're like, well, no, Valentina makes complete more sense over Fred. No, not really. The reason why Fredrinn has such a low win rate over here is because we rarely draft an Ube comp with Fred, which is weird. Really weird and disturbing, actually, but it is what it is. Um, they answer that by picking Fred and Yuzong, which I think is okay. I think it's valid, but I mean, I can't knock any points off for that other than, I mean, glue walking, but because we don't draft Ube strats, you can't really blame him for letting the glue walk, I guess. But I would definitely had prioed Melissa over Yuzong personally at this
Yeah.
stage. I don't think Melissa is any. Melissa's like one of those pick or ban heroes. Right after Wan Wan. So like, cause like right now, because they had Fredrinn, right, and so they had the option to pick Melissa, and then it's really hard for Fredrinn to pick off a Melissa because of her ultimate, right? That's why she's meta. And there's so many other meta picks that Melissa just kind of sort of counters in a sense, or doesn't allow to reach their full potential. So that's what's up with that. So other than that, Empire responded with the Martis, which is commonly picking the Fred because he can just, I guess, tussle with Fred long enough. It's not really a good pick into Fred because they have a Fred. It's just kind of like, it's good enough to get you by, basically. But I kind of don't like Martis being picked into Fred. He's kind of too slow, in my opinion. Like, once his dash is over, you're kind of screwed, right? So if you don't have the type of team to back you up in those Turtle Pit, Lord Pit areas, you're pretty much a goner. The glue pickup is fine, in my opinion. And again, they should have picked up Melissa right here, honestly, because it would have just put that much pressure on BTK. But it is what it is. BTK picked up the Melissa. And so far right now in the phase 1, I think that BTK had the superior draft right here. Just in general, even if despite Empire having Valentina and Glue. Unless, like I said, and for each phase, after I finish talking, I mean, if Deku, if you have anything to say or add on to that, or different perspectives, go ahead, man.
Nah, I agree with it.
Yeah.
I'm vibing with it. The mistakes are pretty clear.
Yeah. For the most part, guys, Deku and I don't really disagree on draft stuff, where we're going to start to have a lot of really interesting conversations is on the BTK Vs Wasians day 2 that Deku himself casted along with Trex. That's where we're gonna have a lot of the interesting conversations at the end of the stream. But back to this. BTK banned Loli, answered with the Farsa ban, which I don't really understand why you would go for a Farsa ban if you have Valentina and they don't have a lot of strong ults, mind you. Like there's not like Valentina is a hero that needs the enemy to have, you know, strong ults to profit, right? So you banned the Farsa and the Eve, right? But these guys, what do they have now? What can you steal? You can only steal a Black Dragon ult, and that's about it in terms of what you know at the moment, right? And then they banned out the Loli and the Kufra because of the I don't know why the Kufra, to be honest with you, but the Loli definitely was for the Melissa. Yeah, I'm not sure why there's a Kufra ban here.
Honestly, well, to be fair, there were quite a few Kufras being played. I don't know why BTK banned it up against Empire. I think
This one doesn't
I'm
make
not
sense.
sure.
Maybe
I'm
Valentina?
not sure there.
Like that's a cope reason to draft Kufra if there's only to stomp on Valentina. it's kind of cope.
Well, I mean that could be a thing. Now I have seen a Kufra actually be able to shut down a Valentina, so that could have been a reason. But
they already have Dragon and
well,
Fredrinn
no.
though.
Well, no, I was about to say actually, why did they ban? They don't have the they banned Cooper, so Cooper for Valentine doesn't make any sense. That like it would have made more sense if Empire would have banned it, but
yeah, it's like they banned themselves, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what they banned it for. Actually,
it would have made sense if they were planning to take a dash type hero, you know. But they chose Xavier and Grok. No dash is there to stop. You know.
Maybe it's because. No, because I mean, any set 10 could be that problem for Fredrinn. I was gonna say maybe they just didn't want Kufra jumping on Zane over neutrals because they banned out Diggy earlier. But well, yeah, that could have been it because they banned out Lolita and Kufra, so they might have just been worried about that. Maybe it's just because Xavier is really like for the same reason Kufra's annoying for Farsa.
I mean, if you have Xavier though, Atlas would be a more prio ban than Kufra, right? Because pressure.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well, BTK has not had the best drafts this NACT, to be honest with you, in anyways. But yeah, other than that, they picked up the Xavier immediately. In terms of what they had open, that's actually a valid pickup because he's kind of annoying to deal with as a Fredrinn. So no points off for that one. The response was an Atlas and a Brody pick. Now that is a horrendous thing to do. If you're drafting, guys, do not pick Brody into Melissa. Pick Claude. If Claude is banned, get Moskov. It's like, do something to avoid her muddles. Like, Brody can't dash out of his muddle or her muddles. Like, seriously, you need people who can reposition fast. Claude with his BMI, or Moskov with his S1 dash, which I forget the name of. But you need something to sidestep the muddles damage. The link, break that link, and counterattack her.
It's an L. It's such an L against Melissa. She's such a lame bully. Why she's pick her band, or she should be. I don't know why she's not. But.
I'm surprised with all these Faramis picks later in the other drafts why I don't see more Moskov picks into Melissa's. Like, that's like my number one choice besides Claude. You know, when Claude is banned, like you guys really need to stop sleeping on the Moskov and his potential to shut down Faramis comps and Melissa comps. He's very underrated in that sense.
You know, that's funny because what's his name? Paulo actually has Moskov at the top of S tier. That's the coach for Bigatron.
I wouldn't put him that far up, but I definitely put him.
I like it.
Not at the top. I think Gwen and Melissa at the top, but I put Moskov in a number.
Nah, one top of S is nah. I think that shit is so cool. Juan actually, I think Juan has a. One has like the lowest win rate in PH. She doesn't even get picked over here anymore,
So
honestly.
here's the
Because there's so many
problem.
counters to deal with.
Yeah. So here's the problem in PH. Uh, the reason that Wen is not that much of a threat, right, is because of the people. They know how to deal with her, and the way they play their macros and stuff, and the heroes they draft and the meta they're used to naturally counter Wen, which just makes the game very difficult for Wen. When Wen shines is when you have a proper peel or lane presence for like a good laning phase for her, which is very hard to do in PH. But the teams that are able to do it actually profit in the late game because she's hard to stop if drafted properly. Over there in PH, I would not have her in the first ban phase, maybe in the second ban phase. Kind of like one of those clutch picks, like you last pick on the red side, and so they can't really counter it at that point. That's how it would work in PH. Over here, it works even better because these teams they're so far apart most of the time at all points of the game that it just makes Wanwan a no-brainer choice. She just profits that much. Too many people out of
She's
position
playing a
to
lane, though.
to
It's not, she doesn't have good matchups. You put her in the lane, you face Muddles, you face
yeah.
Torn Apart Memory, you face hell, even Clint can come back out if Juan starts getting spammed.
Yeah, so over
Uh
here in NA,
Claude,
when they draft a
Fury,
WAN, they usually have to put in a tank in lane with her to make her even work. Like that's how cope it is.
it's not a good look at all. That's why like the first pick for me is gonna be Melissa. And then you put something like Brody up there. And I think Moskov I do like the Moskov one because I feel like Moskov can drop off either one. I mean hell you already said you like Moskov on Melissa, so just like with that being the case alone, I can see why Moskov would be like a top of S for him. Because Moskov is fucking insane. He
Yeah,
just doesn't get picked a lot. The same reason like the same way Melissa doesn't get picked a lot here. But those two are like cracked
yeah.
on coke.
As far as the last pick for BTK here, the Grok, that's a standard good pick, like in general. But I mean, against this team the Empire had, I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a OP counter pick. I think in terms of a roam, since Diggy was banned, like I know there's only like one or two teams who actually draft the Akai as a roam anymore, because his cooldowns are so long, right? Now because he was so popular in the jungle. But I still think that Akai has a really good roam spot available if you, especially against drafts where you already have Melissa and there's enemies that rely on grouping up in general. So like a good like against a Faramis, against a Atlas, against a Glue, anybody that really has to get in the melee range, Akai's just really good at either pinning or peeling, and especially on the underrated use of his ult would be like pushing away waves and it's just stopping aggro's and or counter engaging. His ult is just so versatile. I don't think that I don't. I mean, I get it, because these tanks are a little bit better in the early game than him. But if you already have a good early game, you know what I'm saying, like a Fred, nearby, I think we need to consider Akai a little bit more, especially into these like Atlas and Glues. Personally, that's what I would think. The only reason it wouldn't make sense here is because they have Valentina. So that makes sense, right? um, but even like a support roam would be better here for the side of BTK. They have the Fred, they have the Yuzong, they have the Xavier. They could have an Ube kind of strat here, and it would have been way better than a Grok pick um, in general. They still won, though, so, I mean, it is what it is, but...
I think
I'm just saying
I think that was just more like a skill thing than anything.
Yeah, this is like a safe pick. I
I don't
definitely think
think.
a support roam would have been better here, though. Like for this type of comp against this specifically, you can outrun the glue maybe a
Yeah, it
little
was a
bit.
skill. Yeah, shadows. Yeah, I feel like that was more of a skill issue, but they still could have pulled that off. I mean, they were pulling it off. I just don't think the level of execution was there for them.
Yeah.
to completely pull it off. And the support can be argued it might have been better, but like it's not like it wasn't working
Like I said,
already.
Grok ain't
They
bad.
just ended up.
Okay. So let me read up on chat, cause let me go back up on chat, cause I'm getting pinged, and I was like, I'm not trying to ignore chat, but I'm trying to do like a complete draft, then go and read chat, so that when people go through in the sections, I don't have to be like, oh yeah, draft chat, next part of the draft chat. So yeah. Other than that, if you guys ping me about something related to the draft, I'll probably see that a little bit easier. I'll be paying more attention now. Sorry. Um, Yuzong says, suggest me less picked hero to rank. Mythical Glory. I'm close, but you keep losing. SoloQ wise? Oh my goodness. Damn. You can't rely, if it's SoloQ, you can't rely on people to do things for you. So don't play tank jungle. Pick somebody who can carry their own weight. So if you can get Fred, obviously get Fred. Um, Other than that, go for people who can get weird angles on people like Farsa, people like Moskov. They're all kind of really hard to stop in solo queue. Unless you have like a coordinated attack on them. Brody's really good in solo queue too. Kaja as well. If you're like the roamer, you can pick up a Kaja. That's really good because, you know, as long as, you know, you're in a semi-competent level, anybody can follow up a Kaja set usually. Other than that, Ling is pretty good. Can split push, do a lot of things on his own. Who else would I recommend for solo queue in Mythic rank? Kagura can
Just
shut.
overall.
Yeah, just in general each role, I think. Kagura is really good at shutting down the Farses and the Valentinas and the Eves. Lapu is really good in the XP lane. Lapu, obviously. Arlott, okay, so I mean, we can go ahead and have the Arlott conversation right now, but I kind of want to have it after this talk right here. But so actually, we'll talk about Arlott right here, after this draft. But I mean, who else would you recommend for solo queue, Deku? I mean, I gave a pretty good list there. Unless you're looking for a specific role, Yuzong, that's what I would recommend.
For solo queue. If
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going mid lane, solo queue is probably going to be a Kadita or a Lilia for myself personally. Even a Farsa, to be honest, could be okay if
Yeah,
you have like a. I think Farsa more is like on like the type of comp you got.
yeah, because Farsa can get those weird angles and like shut down people.
Yeah.
Next
But you
tier
gotta have a good
list?
team.
I don't know about the next tier list, but I'll have to make time for that. I'm not sure when, to be honest with you. And plus, the meta's about to change like horrendously. Like, I'm not kidding when I say the meta's like the way the meta's about to be changed. It would be kind of dumb to make a tier list right now. I'll show you guys what I mean. Give me a second. Let me open it up in the browser.
EXP and tank. Oh well, if you're talking about EXP and tank solo queue, Lapu's definitely up there for EXP.
Oh, Yuzong too.
Well, I think he already plays Yuzhong. His name is Yuzhong. Who else could you play in the XP?
Yuzong, Lapu,
So,
Edith is also kind of okay.
I don't think I'd play Eden solo queue.
Let me see here.
To be honest.
Let's go for let's see what's meta being picked. Grok sometimes is picked into XP. I don't think he's okay. I think of Benny. If you can sweat on Benny, you can do a lot of in solo queue. For sure.
Yeah, Benny's pretty reliable solo.
Oh, and Hilda. Hilda is really good too. If you just play.
I was
do your
gonna
own
say
thing.
Hilda, but I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna put that up there for a solo queue thing. I think she's definitely strong because you can abuse the hell out of enemy jungle, that side of jungle.
If your team doesn't profit off you abusing the enemy jungle, you were gonna lose the game anyways, basically.
For Rome, that's easy. Honestly, I think any pickoff tank is really good. So like, if you can play Cho, you can play Franco, you can play Kaja. Who else? I mean, hell, you can even get really freaky and play some of the damage roams. Like you can go Natalia. Natalia Roman solo queue is cracked.
Yes.
Kadita's cracked.
I personally vouch for Natalia.
If you can play a good Grok, you can always go Grok solo. Lolita honestly isn't like I used to spam Lolita solo queue a lot, and like
Hmm.
I mean she's really good with a team, but I feel like you can get a lot done with a Lolita even in solo queue. It's
Yeah.
like a Numian Blast is a Numian Blast, no
Yep.
matter what. If you're really good at babysitting gold lane, you can set up. You can honestly still go for pickoff plays with Lolita. Like if you have a good farce there or something, like some kind of artillery, all you have to do is just
Any
jump in with
mage
the
worth
stun and
their
then
money.
follow up. Yeah, like it's a profit. Like Lolita is super strong. Oh, Akai.
Yeah, see, that's what I was trying
Akai
to
Rome isn't being
say.
it's not being used a lot. I'm always going to be a fan of Akai Rome. That like Akai and Lolita were like my bread and butter. Akai Lolita Atlas, but I would stray away from Atlas right now.
No,
He needs a
Atlas,
good team for the
you
follow
really
up,
need a good
but
team.
yeah, but Akai Lolita, Akai's really good, bro, because he's good on the pickoff, but he still works in the team fight aspect.
Hmm.
Like as far as like peel, like you can use him defensively. I think Zero was talking about it earlier,
Yeah,
but like
any
he's
cold
really
altar you break
versatile.
out, literally.
Yeah, like you can dismantle somebody. You can harass junglers. You can shut down
Hmm.
mages, marksmen, even XPs like a Yuzhong coming in to dive on your back line. Like you can isolate them with the Kai. Like it's so many things you can do with a Kai. He's super strong in jungle fights. Like if you're going for invade, if the enemies are invading, and the Kai with the heavy spin inside the jungle is almost like playing a pinball machine.
Yeah, and even to support your own jungler, you can literally push away the enemy jungle while you can retreat safely. Even if you're bad at retreat, you can't miss if there's no retreat to contest you. You miss retreat at that point, it's a skill issue. um, but
It
yeah,
is a pinball machine.
tier list wise, this is why I don't want to make one, especially right now. This is about to drop. Literally, I think tonight this drops. So you got Rose Gold and Magic Blade, both picking up the passive. When they activate, you get a 50% movement speed, like a little sprint, basically every minute. That's the cooldown. That is crazy. That's a really good movement speed buff. Hanabi, I'm telling you, they're trying to make Hanabi meta, and it sounds like a joke, but then look at the Sea Halberd buff. Increase damage by 8%, like straight up 8% increase in damage to anybody who has higher HP than you. This is a marksman item. They're adding that on.
Glass cannon vibes.
Exactly. The only thing they gave the tanks to handle this is if you take more than 600 damage at a time, so it doesn't affect any of the meta things right now. Wan, Claude, Moskov, and Melissa are all safe. Even Hanabi is safe because they're all chip damage, like DHS, fast attacks. So it doesn't really matter for them. But if for the crits type enemies, because they buff Leslie a lot, anything over 600 damage gets the damage beyond that gets reduced by basically the more HP you have. So this is a good buff for tanks against crit type marksmen. So that's why it's here. It's literally only there for Leslie. I'm trying to tell you, which is crazy because this has to be tested if it can reduce true damage from Leslie or not. But we'll find out eventually. This is what Deku was probably going to be ranting about in the next for the next couple months. Um, because they added the magic
Oh,
gem into the necklace of durance.
yeah, that's really stupid.
So
Really
it still
stupid.
builds into clock, but they nerfed clock a little bit for it, and they gave this mana and HP that you basically lost from clock, and they put it on the necklace of durance. Gave it even, um,
Because that thing is like a fucking. It was already like utility in a sense that it was anti-heal, but now like you have anti-heal, you got magic power, you got
this
HP,
is a
you got
must build
mana,
now.
you got cooldown, you got clock passive, and I think what's his name? I think someone like you keep the clock passive or
Yeah, you
whatever
keep it.
even after
You keep it.
you
You
get the
keep it.
item. So like it's so stupid. It's
Mages
so
can now
stupid,
rush
bro.
this
That's
item.
way too much. That's what I was saying. Like you can literally build it as a first item, like, and you're fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know
So
why they would do
this
that.
is the new
It's so
meta. This is the new
overloaded.
meta right here. This will be the new meta on a lot of mages. So I mean,
It's
it
like
even
getting
gives
an item
cooldown.
and like you like jailbreak it. That's what they did. They just jailbroke Necklace of Durance and just added a bunch of shit to it for no reason.
Like this is insanely powerful to the point where there is no downside to building it first. That's how powerful. It's even cheap, okay, relatively speaking. So if you're not picking this up as a mage, I mean, even in the components, like you got a cooldown in the component. You got magic power, and you have the elegant gems. So you're really balanced in the early game, even with the components for this item. So that's to me that's going to be one of the crazy things why I can't give you guys a tier list right now, because a lot of the mages right now that are clock LT based can skip clock now. They can skip clock now and get NOD LT and then build the clock later, which is crazy to say for a lot of people. They really like building that early, but it's to the point where you don't really need it anymore. This gives you the HP you were needing, and you could even get like if you wanted, you could get other mana type items. Even, well, if you think about it, Ice Queen 1 got buffed with mana, and what's the other item? Fleeting Time got buffed with mana too. So there's so many mana items now that you really don't need the Clock of Destiny anymore. We're phasing that out right now, basically, essentially, with all these buffs.
It's ridiculous. Just like most things, Moonton pushes out.
And the last item getting changed is the Blood Wings, actually making it viable over Holy Crystal and high ELO, I would think. Because once you have that shield, right, it regenerates 20 seconds after it gets damaged. It doesn't even have to be completely depleted. And when the shield is up, you get 30 movement speed bonus. Like that's high ELO. You need that. That's a mandatory late game item now. Think about how Cancer Eve will be with that.
Shit. She's Cancer already put that in with that brute force. Whew.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me read up on chat and then we can go back to the actual drafting stuff again. Kind of got sidetracked on the items there. If you catch anything in chat, let me know, Deku, if I miss anything, like big questions or anything like that. Oh, Damice got buffed, guys. Damice got real buffed.
Why? I use age so they won't think I'm trolling. I think all Anabis use ages right now. Because it's a free shield. You know, it's actually an interesting point. Someone said it is like, it helps her passive, but it is still in the sense another purify. Because even if you don't have a shield from her passive, if you just happen to press the button, there goes your passive. So it's like a purify, but then it's still like anti-burst type of thing. So it's like a 2-for-1.
Yeah,
It's really cheesy.
It's like a buffed type of purify. Kev, we did talk about the new Sea Halberd. It's gonna make any DHS user cancer. You're gonna be dealing with I don't know how many of you guys remember the old DHS, to be honest with you. That was like 12%. That got nerfed. I don't know how many of you guys remember that. But with the Sea Halberd, the Sea Halberd, we're dealing with a 10%, basically, instead of a 9% where on anybody with DHS, which is crazy.
Bean bag? What the hell?
Bro, sometimes they're just sus. But yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for the new stuff. Oh, I get access to the new UI tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll stream related to that or not. You guys can check it out later. Okay. Well, let's go into the big part of it. We'll try to get in, unless you guys have a question related to the draft, just go ahead and like at me or at Deku, and it's easier to see in the chat. Yeah, but other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get through the analysis. Otherwise, we're gonna be stuck here all night, and we both don't wanna do that, right, Deku? So, let's see here. Week 2, day 1, Fallout versus A77. Starting off with an Eve ban is very weird. Very, very weird. But and then Joy, Kaja, Fanny, Glue, Wan. Okay, again, what's up with the Wan blue phase ban? I don't get it. Okay, and the Eve, definitely don't understand the Eve ban. There's so many things left open.
Where we at?
Oh, week 2, day 1, Fallout versus A77.
Oh, wow. Here we go, 77. Where the hell is that at? Oh, I see it.
Yeah. It's where they had
Okay.
issues. The interface blacked out after this. They had issues, so I had to like take a screenshot of the final match stats to look at the heroes that were picked at the end.
Here.
So right here, they picked up the Fred, which is more in line with what we expect. These guys over here picked up the Valentina and the Faramis. The To be honest with you, I wouldn't have recommended to pick. They're both really strong. Don't get me wrong, but to make both of these work, you need the right type of comp drafted in later. Which I mean, they won, so I guess they did it right. But I would usually recommend you let go of the Faramis or the Valentino. Pick one or the other, right? Um, and then like slot in a stronger pick that they won't counter into. So like in this case, they're gonna pick up two heroes, right? So I would say you should have picked up Faramis. If you wanted Faramis, you should have picked up like a Faramis Claude, so that Claude doesn't like counter you, or a Valentina and a Melissa, like right then and there. Then you know it's just a small recommendation. It's very hard to make these two
I
work.
would have went Valentina Melissa.
Yeah. I mean, I would have
I would have went
too.
Valentina Melissa.
I
They
would have
take
too because that's just so stronger, so much stronger.
well, because if you look, okay, so they take Fredrinn.
Mm-hmm.
So you go Valentina Melissa. They're probably gonna go for Ramus either way, which isn't bad because the Ramus actually wins the matchup against Valentina more often than not. Even though people love to take Valentina to counter Ramus, they end up losing that matchup a good chunk of the time. But you get Fredrinn, Ramus on the opposite side, and then you can just respond with Lolita.
Yeah,
You got Valentina, Melissa, Lolita from A77 right there. I mean, they ended up winning anyways, but it would have been a better draft in
yeah,
my book.
especially in
And
this
then
early
even if they
phase.
get the Farsa, like they probably wouldn't end up getting the Farsa. They get Claude, but that's okay because Melissa shits on Claude, and you end up winning later on anyways because you're taking Inspire, so you're always going to win the DPS
Mm-hmm.
matchups. So it wouldn't matter. Plus, you have Lolita against the Blaze Duet, so like that would have been so much better. That little quick
Yep.
change.
Mm-hmm.
You would have seen the same thing from Fallout minus Farsa. It would have been Fred, Claude, and Faramis, and you
Yeah.
win the first three picks automatically.
Yep. Ban wise, Hayabusa. Considering you have this type of comp, doesn't really make sense. I mean, Faramis kind of counters Hayabusa with his cold altar. And the Barats ban on this side. Barats isn't really good with Valentina and Faramis, so I don't understand that one right there, to be honest with you. The Akai is good, though. That's a good ban. I understand that one. And then the Lolita ban. Why would... Oh, okay, actually, no. My bad. Yeah, okay, my bad. No, the Lolita makes sense here. I thought it was backwards for some reason in my head. The Lolita ban makes sense. I get it here. Because you have Melissa and Faramis, so good job on the Lolita and the Akai. The Hayabusa and the Brats could have been left alone, I think. No need to ban those. You could have banned other things. Like the Lapu was definitely still open. If you have a Farsa, right?
That would have been Lapu.
There's a Lapu open. And there's also
Well, not even that. Like even from A77, I would have banned Lapu just because Lapu can fuck over Cold Altar because he has so much AOE damage and he's immune to the Melissa go away. Like that would have been a good ban for either side.
I think the Hayabusa and the Brats should have been Lapu and Yuzong, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But
Hayabusa is stupid. I mean, like I think they banned it because Hayabusa shits on Melissa, but Hayabusa, if you got Faramis,
yeah,
you're gonna be grouped up all the time. Like even if you don't have the Cold Altar, the fact that you're grouped up just it like Hayabusa doesn't work there. His ult shits when you group up.
yep. They ended up picking Lapu and Martis on the side of A77. I'm gonna assume they picked up Lapu first. I don't know because the draft phase died there in the stream. And the side of Fallout picked up the Grok and the Arlott. So in response to a Lapu, they picked an Arlott and a Grok. That doesn't make much sense. In terms of Arlott, okay? Uh, Arlott, the what you hear a lot is Arlott is really good into Faramis because Faramis likes to group up. Arlott benefits a lot from that. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. No, it's true. It's not a bad thing to say about Arlott. But to make Arlott work, you need to have another key factor on your side, and that is a source of slowdowns and peel for Arlott to work. So it doesn't work with Farsa, is what I'm trying to say. It works better with Eve, which is actually weird that it didn't, like, they had enough stuff to make Arlott work here. They just had a Diggy open here, which is probably what killed them over. But in general, Arlott, you need to draft him with a good amount of peel and slows.
There's Alice, it's not exactly good in Alice.
No, he's not. So, and he also works like mainly by bursting people. So if you're gonna put him into anybody against anybody in lane, he can bully them. He can do a lot of damage. Like, that's why he's picked, right? But at the same time, if he gets caught up into like any type of CC, think of him like the advanced version of Alucard, essentially, like a better Alucard, with CC and a little bit more damage, like a fusion between Alucard and Lancelot. Think of him more of as an assassin side lane, not a fighter side lane, and then you'll be drafting him a lot better in your comps. That's the only way you're gonna be able to draft him properly, because he can only go in once a lot of the big ultimates are down, or to follow up a set from a tank. That's the only time you can really draft Arlott and be safe about it. Otherwise, you're gonna keep losing with him, in general. Other than that, yeah. Well, obviously, Lapu went into Arlott. I'm pretty sure that's I think Lapu wins that because he has shields.
Yeah, Lapu does one. You know what? But a lot of people mess up in this fight, and I've been seeing it happen with some of the XP laners. Is like Lapu, like the Lapus will like just fight Arlott and starve their ultimate, and I'm like, if you just use your ultimate from the start,
To
Arlott
engage.
can't do a lot of damage because he can't CC you, which is literally how he gets his kit going. He has to CC, but if you start the fight out with Raging Slash, you just chunk this man's HP bar while he's just sitting around waiting to CC you. But at that time, he's already too low to
Yeah.
keep going for the trade. He'll probably die or have to run. But if you sit there and starve it, then that's when I see a lot of Lapus die, and I'm like, bro, that shouldn't even happen because you literally don't lose that. You don't lose that 1v1. But it's like a skill thing, honestly.
It's a micro issue. Martis into this comp is okay. No complaints there. To be honest with you, there's no complaints there. It's fine. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's fine. The Lap was basically what gave him the win here, cemented the win. Other than that, draft analysis wise, I would say that this is a with the Grok and the Arlott over here, it's just a more difficult match for them because you can now they have Grok's ultimate here, which is, what is that called? Wild Charge. They have a Wild Charge on top of the Valentina set, so like that's really like a really good Claude counter if you can aim it right, and it's pretty fast too. So they had their knockup that they needed for Claude. And Claude usually waits out till that's done before going into team fights. So draft wise, I do give A77 the win here. Like I said, Valentina Faramis is very difficult to actually get going. You do need chonky boys, and they had the Martis and they had the Lapu, good chonky boys there. And so I mean, and that's all they needed. They got it. They won. It wasn't a draft issue, draft execution issue. Fallout didn't have a very bad draft. It was just not as good in this case. So regardless of the outcome, draft-wise, A77 won this draft. Yeah. What's up, Knight? What about the Beanlings? What? Nah, I don't think I'll join the Beandom. You guys can have that. Shouldn't he be another Paquito? No, Paquito is way different from Arlott. You know, because Arlott needs enemies to dash through, right? And Paquito doesn't need anything. He's just kind of like his own thing. Paquito doesn't need anybody basically. He's not restricted
Is
as
Arlott able
restricted
to
as
dash?
Arlott.
Is he able to use minions?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Oh, but can he lifesteal off of them though? Like he gets his, can he get stuff off the minions?
And not
Like how
unless
like Dyroff,
no,
when he fights on top of minions with the passive, it like heals him a shit ton for like the early trades.
he has a healing passive built in, but I don't think it works on minions. Let me double check that real quick. I think it only works on heroes.
He can use minions. Oh, he said he can use minions. Okay,
I don't think he
okay.
can.
So that was another. No, they said he can.
Oh, he can?
Yeah, Yuzhong and Shadow said he can.
Oh, okay.
So that was another reason why I was telling, because I had this discussion with Durza about the XP, because I was like, there's no reason Lapu should lose to Arlott, because like if you take him, as soon as you're like off the minion wave, or like y'all are done with a wave, or if you fight him away like in River, if you go in with the ult, like Arlott has no shot, bro. Like he has no shot.
Yeah,
At all.
nothing. Oh yeah, so okay, that's why. Okay, I remember there's a reason I compared him to Lancelot, even a little bit. Yeah. Second draft here. Let me see. Let me double check before any. Oh, Shiryu. Who counters Fredrinn? Hanzo.
Hanzo, Boxia, Akai's been getting used again on him.
Melissa counters Fredrinn.
Well, they're probably talking more about jungle matchups.
But yeah, Hanzo.
I'm pretty sure you can say anything range beats Fredrinn because that's just how melee and range interact.
I would say your best bets are Hanzo, Akai, and Hilda. If you can cope with the Hilda jungle for some reason. Because
it's funny because Rito's been wanting to run it.
Because Hilda will shut down.
I think I still would take Boxia over that.
No, definitely do not put a Baxia in against a Fredrinn. You're killing yourself and your team. Because he doesn't heal like that. He kind of just does damage by taking damage, so.
Fredrinn does heal. What do you mean? He has a nice region.
He doesn't heal like that, like to the point where you need to draft Baxia into him. Like, specifically.
Oh, Boxia. The reason why Boxia is going to be good on him, though, is because not only do you negate the region, but you can beat out Fred rotating over to his own camps and invade him, because that's where Fredrinn sucks at.
Yeah, that's
early
the
on. Like,
if you're invading him,
if people
yeah.
fought, well, that's what you would use with Boxia. Boxia invades with his S1. That's why he's such a good jungle with it. But if you take the fight over to Fredrinn, like, early on in the stage, like even after like 4 is unlocked, Fredrinn is super fucking squishy, and you can easily kill him before an Appraisal Wrath.
Fredrinn is one of the squishiest tanks in the game.
Literally can go solo him. Yeah, you can literally go solo him. Like Boxia can just go over there and just 1v1 Fred like all day.
I think the risk of taking or why I really don't recommend Baxia against the Fred in most regions that are not NA is because Fredrinn is usually drafted in with a healer. To be honest with you, and even despite the fact that you have Baxia, it's not enough to chip him down.
I mean, but overseas, I mean, the Baxia is it hasn't been. I don't think it's been put on on stage yet. But I'm getting that from scrims. That's on scrims over in Indo and PH. The Baxia thing, because no one's done it over here either. The Hanzo thing I got from the scrims over there. But what I will say though is Hanzo, while it does well, you still can get fucked over by Fredrinn, because if you try to join in a fight with Hanzo, Fredrinn can literally just stun lock you until you get bursted, and then you're just you have to walk over to you. If he just stuns the shadow, like you're gonna get bursted out with the shadow, and then you get stunned on your actual body. So like, it can work, but it's cope as well.
I would say Akai is your best bet as a tank jungler against the Fredrinn, only because you have Red Tree Prio. You know. Lancelot's also very good into Fredrinn, and of course Ling, if you just use your ult at the right time. But Lancelot for sure. Even the tanks a lot that people are using.
But Shadow, you gotta realize what you're talking about. You're saying like late is bad. Like that's the whole point of the Boxia you're supposed to abuse your early, which is what he's strong at. I'm not saying take Boxia so you can fight Fred at minute 15. That's obviously retarded and stupid, because at this point Fredrinn is no longer squishy. You're supposed to take the Boxia.
And You have
the
to
first 9 minutes of the
also
game.
you also run a very real risk. Well, no, actually, I take that back. You run a slight risk of someone out big braining you and drafting in a Florin to counter the Baxia late game. Just even more.
No one's pulling for it. No one's doing it.
Um,
It's not a thing.
Someone could out big brain you in certain scenarios.
No one's gonna
Nobody's
do
doing
it.
it. I don't know. I'm a
No,
Florin. What do you call it? Backer.
you're no. No one else is a
Yes.
Florida backer. But I mean,
Um.
at that point, but that's cope as well. Like still early on in the game, Florin's not even good early. She's a scaling support, so it's not like Florin just negates what Boxy is gonna do like at all.
Oh no.
She's scared.
To draft
She's scaling.
Florin, your whole team needs to be early.
Yeah,
That's
she's like the weirdest support. Most supports are good early, like they always
Florin's.
have utility late, but they're actually annoying early game. Florin is literally non-existent until she scales, which
Yep.
is crazy. Your Rome having to scale is kind of insane, but that's what Florin does. So that's not even a good answer to box here, because again, you're not looking to fight them later on.
Hmm. Other than that, I think that pretty much is all I would recommend for stuff like junglers into Fredrinn. That's why he's banned so much right now, because aside from a couple of cheese picks, there's not really a lot of people who do well into him. I mean, you can definitely like beat him out in retries, but in the type of meta we're in, there's a reason why he's like always picked or banned, literally. Okay.
Ready.
Next match, let me make sure I didn't skip anything. They gotta start nerfing Fredrinn's HP. No, like we were talking about, Fredrinn's really weak in terms of like HP and defense and stuff. What makes him lethal is the fact that you can't really escape him once you're in his range. So if you're drafting into a Fredrinn, you want to draft things that can escape him easily. This is why, again, just beating the same drum here is the Moskov and the Melissa are so good into him. Even Claude, anything that can get away really is really good into him. From a marksman point of view, from a mage point of view, anybody that can stop him, slow him down, Eve or Xavier even are really good. The only problem with those guys is that you have people counter that by drafting backline diving type XP laners. So yeah, you have that to deal with, and the other thing that people have been drafting into Fred is assassins. For the same reason, they can, they have dashes, they can go in and out, and it's the same logic though. It's not really big brain. It's just get away from Fred. You draft heroes that don't succumb to Fred in the melee range, right? And if you have enough burst, if you're gonna outburst him, make sure you have some form of suppress on your side. So like a Lunox and a Franco, or a Lunox and a Kaja preferably, would also be a good shutdown to Fred. If you can hook him, right? Because that's one way to keep Fred off your back.
Something I saw that was crazy.
What?
As you mentioned the assassins, fucking so in the Endo scrim that I watched, they ended up pulling a I still don't know how it really worked, but they pulled out Naman over Fredrinn and absolutely tore that man to pieces.
Oh,
I'm not
I
really
mean,
sure because like in my head I was thinking like, okay, you just get your radiant, you get your guardian, and you should be good.
no,
But it didn't go that way.
no.
They tore his ass up.
Yeah, so Amon got buffed recently. I mean, if you're wondering why, it's because Amon got buffed recently to the point where it's similar to Guzhin but unlike, Guzhin doesn't care if you have Radiant and Athena's and every other magic res item in the game. Once he has, his full build, he's gonna basically almost one shot you if he can get all his daggers on you, right? Um, the way Amon works is that you need to have both Radiant and Athena's active to counter him. Like you need both of them. And as a tank jungler, that's a lot of gold. So that's why. And he scales way faster too. So I mean, from a damage standpoint and from knowing knowing how Amon works, it's also hard to target him if you're relying on auto kind of aiming skills and stuff. At high yellow, it's rare to see that, but even then, sometimes it's faster to use the auto on certain heroes. But you could avoid a lot of that. You can come in and you can still, you can be in your jungle doing normal jungle things, getting stacks on your shards for your ultimate. Just go in, ult the Fred, right? Because there's no loss to using his ult on Fred. You just literally chip out most of his HP, and he can't come in for turtles or lords. So I'm surprised that somebody finally picked up on that. But that's what I meant by that. Like, you just burst him and he's done. He can't go back in. That's what I meant by he doesn't have that type of heal.
I'd have to go back and look at the thing. I don't know if they had a poker, but yeah, that would be good. I guess if they probably did have like a poke in the mid and then like had a mon to come clean up. So that might have been a thing. Is High a better pick for 5? Yeah, High is better than Amon for 5.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like I said, Amon's a lot better for solo. High is a lot better. Only because like if Amon isn't able to execute off like kills, he doesn't have like the split push pressure that Hayabusa does. And then Hayabusa is a lot slipperier.
I
think
would
he's
personally recommend Julian over Amon though, as a jungle.
Well, I mean, the only he was just asking is Haya a better pick for 5 mans or Amon? It's Haya.
Yeah. For anybody that's going for assassins and they're safe for SoloQ and jungle into a Fred, I mean, I would also recommend Julian. Julian's pretty OP damage wise as well, kind of like Amon in that sense. Bro, someone tell me what? I don't get it.
Are you looking at me? I don't know.
All right, so next one is A77 Fallout. Second one, this one should be quick. Let's see here. Fanny Joy Kaja ban usually indicates, it usually indicates you're gonna draft an assassin jungle. I mean, generally when you first ban out of Kaja, but anyways, they banned the Fredrinn, the Wan, and the Valentina, which is okay. Not bad. I definitely. I mean, I think these are both good bans. Honestly, I mean, you get the fairness.
It's so funny because they're still banning out stuff that gets banned on red stuff. Joy and one get banned on red every single time in Peach. I don't know why teams keep banning this from their side.
They just don't want to. They don't want the enemies to deal with it. No.
Well, it's because you let them ban out other stuff. So like right there from Fallout side, they're able to ban out Fred and Valentina, but that's only because these niggas helped them by banning out Joy. Why would you ban Joy? You don't ban Joy. It's stupid. Like if you're going for Faramis here, you can ban out stuff or whatever. That's like annoying to like a Faramis comp.
Well, you have Faramis, and on that side. They picked up Arlott because once again they are like, okay, Faramis, Arlott, you know, blah blah blah, yada yada. But besides the Lapu on A77, they could have put in the glue. Glue was open, right? And glue wins in Arlott lane.
Banning Valentina is useless. I bet half of these players wouldn't even know how to. I wouldn't say banning Valentina is useless, but I wouldn't say banning Valentina is necessary either.
Half these players. Yeah, so Valentina. Good point. Valentina has a 46% win rate for a reason. I mean. You can pick her, and there's like 3 ways to counter her. I mean, way number 1 is you counter her kit as a hero by, drafting heroes that counter her. Other way you do it is by not drafting really strong ultimates. Other way you do it is by drafting too many strong ultimates to the point she has not enough to counter. Like, she can only get 1. And then you just focus her. So she has to burn the ultimate that she stole, right? There's a lot of ways to deal with Valentina. And you can't just randomly pick her and not use her to your advantage when drafting. If you do that, you're going to lose with Valentina. For sure. Didn't know they were reading the chat. We are. Okay, so then Eve and Arlott got picked up. Arlott was picked up because they saw Faramis and said, okay, I heard this was good in the Faramis. I guarantee you that's what ended up in the brain. Lapu was picked up because he's a good pick. I just like it's not a bad pick. I really good pick. I just think that they could have maybe saved it up a little bit for the glue because that was their XP laner already picked over there. Claude though was a good pickup because I had Faramis. What surprised me here in this draft, Deku, is the fact that they picked up Brody and not Melissa. What? Like, that surprised me when I saw it, at
Oh,
least.
I mean, that's what I was saying. Some of these teams just still don't use they just don't pick up Melissa. I don't know
Uh,
why, but it's an L in my book. I would spam Melissa all the time. It's kind of
pick
free. You
pick
really can't mess up.
wise,
She's good early. She's good late.
yeah. Pick wise, they
She's got
banned. No,
chill.
it's banned phase wise. They got Martis, Lolita, Hayabusa. I'm struggling to see the Hayabusa ban here on the side of A77. I don't really see it. I get the Loli, I understand that one. The Martis one over here on the side of Fallout. I'm not sure why you would ban him, honestly. And then Farsa got banned out, which is weird. I don't think you would. Why would you ban out the Farsa? Because if you banned, okay, if they got Farsa, that put Faramis on Rome, right? So he just, I don't know. I don't think that Farsa should have been banned here. They don't have the type of comp that Farsa could really benefit from over there on the side of A77 with Claude and Lapu and Faramis. Because they would have no one to protect the Farsa, is what I'm trying to say, except for the Cold Altar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, actually, I don't know because they have an Estes as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because normally, it's probably because like normally when Eve gets picked up, they'll go for the response. But like you said, like Faramis Rome and shit, and then it doesn't do anything to help Parsec. So like I wouldn't have banned it myself, but I can see their single
Brain cell moment.
yeah, it was like we have Eve, we're gonna pick Farsa. But like it definitely made no sense for them to do it.
Also,
They would have picked Farsa.
Fallout. If you were planning to take a Kai, you should have taken Diggy first.
Big brain.
Because Diggy can roam. Diggy can roam, and then they can't pick the Akai because that would be dumb, right? And so, I'm just saying, it's like, come on, just take the Diggy. If you're planning to take the Akai, take the Diggy first. You don't have to worry about him countering your ults, and I'm pretty sure that's how they got lost. That's how they lost here. And Alice is the diving net
That's a secret
backline.
advice. Secret advice from what was saying, man. Pro tip. Take the Diggy.
Do
Don't give
not
it
draft
away.
a Kai into
Also, don't
Valentina, and do not draft an Akai into a Diggy. Pro tips.
or don't draft a Kai into both. It's also really wild.
Big pro tips. It's okay. You can
Doing
draft
the
an
Lord's
Akai
work.
into a singular Diggy if you want to burn Diggy's ult with your ult. But if you do that as a jungler, you're not going to have it for your lords or your turtles. So if you're going to do that, you're going to need like a burst type comp to follow up on burning the Diggy ult. And I mean, even though Arlott does a lot of damage, it's not the burst type of damage. I mean, it is burst if he goes full burst, but it's not that type of burst, is what I'm trying to say. And Brody, no. Eve is definitely not a burst mage until maybe late game against certain heroes. And you're taking a healer anyways, so no, I don't see the burst. So if you wanted to overwhelm the Diggy ult, you need a burst comp. You needed like a Lunox type comp here. You just don't have it here. So yeah. I mean, I guess the Estus is good into Alice though for when she dives a backline, but your Estus ult will never out heal an Alice ult. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that. no anti-CC on the field. Yeah, and a lot of these teams are not balanced properly. In terms of that, if you're referring to balancing out the the ranged, like we were talking on last stream, you need to balance out a lot of things. You need the zoning. You need both melee and long range distance zoning, and you need damage in both areas as well. And you need somebody who can push towers as well, like a split push type potential hero. And then obviously you need those counter pick hero potentials as well. Draft wise, I say that I mean A77 won the draft. They got the Diggy into the Akai, and the Akai doesn't have any type of heroes on his side to really chunk down anybody over there. They have the Cold Altar. I mean, it's like in general that would be good into a Cold Altar, but if you have that and what's Diggy's ult's name? Something has to do with time.
Time journey.
Time journey.
Yeah.
So I mean, all Diggy has to do is wait for a Kai ult to make it invalid, and then you're not gonna push anyone out of the Cold Altar, so you're screwed. And then you have a jungle Alice able to dive your backline, and a Lapu able to dive your backline. And Claude is just nothing can really stop Claude over there. There's no real knockups other than a Kai's S1 if he can land it. And I mean, there's just too little CC to stop the entire comp over there. So from a draft perspective, I mean, it is what it is. What I don't understand, Deku, is how we can be looking at A77 here, and then on the next day they can be like making the same mistakes. Like we're like, oh yeah, they're doing this is a good draft, and then the next day they be drafting like the other, the team they went against. So it's like, okay, what, okay. Let me make sure I'm reading up now. Nothing like chess. Oh no, nothing like chess. Valentina can be useful only when Wangwon is there? Huh? Yeah, you're right, Shadow. This good point there. And yeah, like I said, Arlott is very assassin style type pick. He's not gonna shine much otherwise. Moving along, we have an Atlas ban over here. I had to go look at the stream as well. This is one of the more popular ones. This is in Ohio. Anything with Ohio Brothers is really popular right now, obviously, because they have a 100% win rate. Ohio Brothers is LaimiTop. Let's see. So, and you guys can get a good look at the type of drafting that the Ohio Brothers does. While it's not perfect, it is levels above pretty much everybody else at the moment. So, yeah. Laimi goes ahead and bans out Faramis. I mean, not Faramis. Fredrinn on the blue side pick. Faramis and Glue, which is what Deku was talking about earlier. So they do the enemy's job for them. And then there's a Joy and a Wan and a Hayabusa ban from the side of the Ohio Brothers. Like, I think with the Haya ban, they were just like, okay, let's just ban random stuff. Why not? I mean, like, because they really could have just banned Valentina right there, honestly. But maybe they were looking for more of a challenge. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how what the logic of the Hayabusa was so early. But yeah, with that being said, Laimi picked up the Valentina. These guys picked up the Moskov and the Kaja, right? So they even left the Melissa open, right? Like they left Melissa open. They said, you know what? Nah, you guys can have Melissa, and you guys can have. What else did they leave open in terms of meta picks here, Deku? Like big meta picks. What else did they leave open here in terms of big meta picks? They got Kaja and Moskov. They left open the Dragon. I mean, they picked it up later, but Dragon was open here. And Melissa was open here. So, like, those are two good options right there. You could have got a Dragon and a Melissa right then and there. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, Melissa's free. It is literally tough. It's actually crazy to see Melissa not get picked or the end. I don't know. I think I don't know. I just don't think people. I just don't think people understand. You know, but that is funny though. I was looking at some over here talking about picks that ain't been picked. There's like a couple picks right now that haven't been picked at all so far in NCT that I thought were kind of crazy. Like there hasn't been. I mean, this is just crazy in my opinion, but there hasn't been any Alucards, any Amons. There hasn't been any Gujins, any Hanzos, not a single Kagura, which is kind of
That
crazy.
I was actually molding about that. I was like, you know how many?
Well, my thing is because we used to have a lot of Kaggers. Like there was a lot of Kaggers and there was a lot of Lilias. And that's like one of the things me and Chex were talking about. Like the Lilia that got locked in last night was the first Lilia all through NACT so far, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I
But
was
there
just
was no
molding
Lilia.
because I know Kagura can counter Farsa, Xavier, Eve, any backline mage that doesn't have that type of like peel. Like even while
Well,
retreating,
even
she can,
outside of
you know,
countering, just the
boom.
fact that they haven't picked it like outside of counter, just because there used to be a lot of CAG. So it's just strange not to see it in the NA right now.
Or like
But there's no CAG.
when you
There's
have a
no
Valentina.
Mathildas.
Yeah, or Mathilda, man. You what the
There was
hell
no
happened?
Mathilda. There was no Natalias. No Nathan, which is kind of crazy. There was a lot of Nathans in scrims. I saw a lot of Nathans in some of these scrims, but no one has picked up Nathan so far in NACT. Uh, Honestly, I'm even surprised, like just out of a meme, like I like maybe it's because it is a meme, but there hasn't been a single Vex on him. There's been a shit ton of glues. I just was really hoping or expecting someone to be like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna play Vex in the glue. But no
So
one's done it. No one's done it.
from a legitimate draft point of view, I don't like the fact that Kaja gets picked so often without Kagura. Because, to be honest with you, okay, Kaja is not that good at checking bushes, okay? And Kagura can fill that gap in the weakness of Kaja's kit, with her umbrella. So, I'm just saying, like, you can safely check bushes with her if you have that type of roamer. And that's not something any mage can say. And so, I mean, except for maybe Lilia, of course, but I mean, still, like you said, that wasn't picked either. So it's just mind-boggling that Kagura is not getting picked, especially here in NA, where we know we have Kagura players, and we know how good Kagura is and how good she is at like even like. Do you know how many cult altars do you think Kagura could proc just by focusing in a Faramis, and then just like leaving? It's crazy. Like
Oh, well, probably a
actually
few.
crazy. Okay, moving along though, they banned they being Ohio Brothers banned Atlas, which was answered by a Lapu ban. Okay. And which is good. I mean, that would make sense. And then there was a Grok ban over here. The Grok ban was for the
Nice.
Kaj, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Shadow, are you there? I don't know. If Shadow's still here. Oh, he is.
Yeah, Shadow's still here.
Uh, I think Leo should be used. That
I think he
it's
should.
Leo. It's hard to pull him out if they're because like Leo was getting just spammed a shit ton with Martis when they both got buffed. But I think the issue with Leo is like everyone kind of figured you could give him like the ball dog treatment. And as long as you just CC him a shit ton, like he's honestly really useless if you CC him.
Also
Now,
known as
if you
Fredrinn.
can put him, if you can draft him into a spot where there is not a lot of CC from the enemies, and you have a team that's good on the early, because I feel like people like draft a bunch of scaling and like just throwing a fucking Leon, like he'll do early, and that's just not how that works. But if you put him like a full send lineup, kind of like even in that lineup that we saw, like that full fighter shit, like Leo would be nice in some shit like that. You have
Yeah.
that, and against a little bit of CC, like Leo could be strong, but I think everyone just kind of strayed away from it, just because you're typically going to see a bunch of CC.
Yeah, if you want to draft Leo, I definitely recommend drafting him into people with really, actually, right now in NACT at least, if you want to save him for anything, make sure there's no suppress, for sure, or any type of long chain CC like Deku said, and it's best to draft him into a Farsa, because even if you don't get to do much, at least you can stop her ult. Okay. Like from like minimum. Um, but back to this, they banned Grok. Ohio Brothers banned Grok. I'm pretty sure that's because of the Kaja though. He only has one dash, right? So, um, plus if they were planning to draft, I don't know. I don't. If they had a Kai and Brody over there already, would the Grok really help them? I'm not sure. I think the Grok was just like a general ban. I'm not sure. Because if Laimi got a Grok, oh yeah, well actually for the Farsa, they're very good Farsa counter, I guess. Yeah, now that I see it. But the Martis ban on the side of Laimi could have been better used to ban out the Yuzong. I mean, you already didn't pick him up earlier when you had the chance, so might as well have banned him. You banned the Lapu, but not the Yuzong. It's kind of crazy. Um, they both kind of go hand in hand, if you know what I mean. Other than that, obviously they picked up the Yuzong because that's what's going to counter the Farsa, but also ends up countering sort of kind of your Valentina pick and your Brody pick. You have a Suppress picked up here with the Franco. But once again, if you pick up Suppresses or heroes like a Kai who pin people, you're going to need the damage to back it up. And while Brody's really strong, and he does damage, right? It's not the burst type of damage, and Valentina doesn't have that either until way late game, and that's if she, snowballs. And Benedetta also doesn't have that unless it's through her ultimate, and usually it's not used to follow up on a Franco set. So, that's why that didn't work, if you're wondering why. Benedetta-wise, Benedetta into Dragon. I'm pretty sure that Benny wins that, right, Deku? Benny wins Dragon.
Yeah.
The only actually, I think the Benny was a really good choice here. Aside from the suppression, there's nothing really to stop the Benny, which is good. It's just that there's also nothing to really follow up on this Franco right here. And the Lancelot the Lancelot pickup from the side of Ohio Brothers is good because if you can use him properly, you can kind of just dash around everybody. You only have to be afraid of the suppress. There's only one suppress, okay? And if Urishi saved his Dragon ult for the Franco suppress, literally just hover over him while he's trying to suppress somebody, that's enough. Or if he just saved it while, objectives were being taken, Franco can't suppress anyone. He literally has to wait for the Dragon to stop flying around because one little touch is going to stop his suppression. That's why Kaja is in his suppression is superior to Franco's right now, because even if you CC Kaja, the person you suppressed is still suppressed, right? But at the same time, Franco is a good response to a Kaja pick. It's just that you need the right kind of draft as well, And if you don't have the right type of burst type draft, neither a Kai nor Franco will work. You need people to back up their sets. It's like picking a setter tank, but not picking up the heroes that benefit from setter tanks. So that's why they're not working. They're good, yeah, the good ideas, but that's why they're not working. Moskov, way too hard to catch for any of these heroes. And like I said, Kaja Suppress just appear. Farsa zoning, I guess kind of evens out with the Eve, but she just still has superior mobility from a macro point of view. And Yuzong is gonna, like I said, so stop any type of Franco suppressions when it matters. Benny is their best pick here into all of these, and last but not least, of course, Lancelot is just able to, just like there's nothing to really stop the Benny, there's not much to stop the Lance when it matters. And that's about it. I mean, any other comments there, Deku? Any other input there? Let me read up on chat while you do that.
Yeah, I mean, it had a good pickoff potential. It doesn't have any or like the damage dealers, or well, Brody's good for the pick, but Valentina isn't really. They needed something else, but I'm aware, like, obviously this is like draft 3 is like everything aside. But they did get forced into this. Like Lolita wasn't good here. Grok got banned, and the roamer for LaimiTop, those like his three picks, like Franco, Grok, and Lolita. So he kind of just got forced into Franco, and that was just
Mm.
it for them. The Benedetta is comfort for their XP. Uh, I don't even think they're mid. So like that whole Valentina thing you were talking about earlier, like people don't know how to play Valentina. Their mid doesn't play Valentina. I think Xavier and Valier actually are their comfort, and they're a passive mage player. So it didn't even like they were fucked.
I mean, unpopular opinion here, but what do you think if they had slotted a Kai Roam and they would have gone for an assassin jungle and a different XP laner? I mean, Benny was good, but because they had a Kai
Their
Roam, right? But
XP,
like,
their XP was playing the jungle, and their jungle was playing XP. Those two were off roll. They already swapped.
Benny was playing
Benedetta was
jungle.
normally the jungler. Man, no, she
Eh,
didn't play jungle in that match, but
Oh,
that player
oh,
in there, it
oh.
went XP and the XP went jungle
That's
because
crazy.
the Benedetta can't play tanks, but the XP can.
Well then,
So that's why there's a Benedetta in the XP. They're good on assassins, but they didn't take an assassin in that game.
they should have gone an assassin jungle and flexed the Akai to roam. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, what they would typically play is a Fanny
Fanny was
or
open.
Fanny or Link. Well, Moskov and Kaja are over there. He's
Yeah.
not very good in the Moskov Kaja.
Well, I mean, it's okay but not if you're. I mean, okay, not. I understand what you're saying, but if you have a Kai, right, and Valentina, you can still kind of let Fanny be a proper assassin and follow up. Only do like the finishing type moves.
But again,
But
now
it
that
doesn't have
we've
to be
brought the pools,
Fanny.
no, but I'm saying again, since the pools have been brought up, you're saying a Kai Rome. Already, their Romer doesn't play a Kai. He,
Ah, pain. Sorry, guys. I'll read the chat
all
in a
he had
sec.
was Frank. And all he plays is
Nah,
Frank. He plays
no.
Frank. Actually,
That's
Grok
Golem,
and
right?
Lita are his two mains. Yeah, that's his PDR. It's Gosu
Go
PDR.
Golem.
So
Learn a Kai
yeah,
roam,
that's Gosu
sir.
PDR.
Sir.
Playing Lolita Grok is his comfort. Franco is his pocket, and he plays the Atlas as well, but it's terrible. I think he bronze. Actually, played against him in scrim. He bronze on it there, and I think he played Atlas. Did he play Atlas in this?
I'm not sure.
Not to. I don't know when he. I think he played last night for day two, but he played Atlas as well, and it's horrible. So like he literally had no option to go Franco.
Mm.
Atlas wasn't Atlas. I mean,
Okay,
Akai was never
hero
going to go
pool issues.
alone.
Okay, but yeah, we're not gonna judge based on hero pools, I guess. But draft wise, I mean, Ohio Brothers just has a even though it's a low
Valentina
CC
Kira,
comp, even though it's a low CC comp, Dragon is just so good at applying CC when it matters. That it's valid. They have enough. This is what I meant by having burst to back up the setter tank. That they have it. They have a setter tank, but not the burst to back it up, except for Brody, and that's not enough. Okay. Let me read up. How good is Leo in EXP and SoloQ? I don't think it's good. SoloQ. But dang, EXP so popular in normal ranked. He kills so easily. This what? DPS easily not pick him when Martis and Lapu at ban. What? I mean, yeah, Badang is getting popular in solo queue for a reason, and that's why they nerfed him on the advanced server. And it's the nerf is coming to the real server too, the original server. I'm surprised we haven't seen Badang in the NACT. To be honest with you, I'm actually surprised, but I guess it's because people are not really familiar with him in NA. But he definitely has potential. It's just it's very hard to make his potential actually work. You need to make him work in the current meta. You kind of basically almost have to pick him into like a tanky type of jungle if you do it. And usually, I mean, there's way better options available, such as Fredrinn and Martis and any assassin and Akai. I mean, there's other options you would take over him. His best case scenario is when they take heroes that don't have dashes, So if for some reason Hanabi becomes meta, he'll become meta too because he just counters her naturally. You can burn flickers. Anything that is immobile that kind of like Grok counters, Bedang will counter naturally because he also summons that wall. And he has a lot of burst, of course, even if he builds tanky. All right, let me see what else got said here. New Year's Hour, welcome to Zero ML's chat, where everyone is simply something. What? Oh, somebody got timed out. Would Fred be worth as a roam ever? I think he's no. I don't. Maybe.
Was an XP laner only. He's
Maybe.
playing Rome now. Actually,
maybe
PDR was playing Rome before.
You can make an argument for it.
Alter Ego. Not Alter Ego. Assassination. What the fuck was the name for Dave's old squad? Was it Assassination Esports or?
I'm not sure.
I forgot what the shit. But he was playing Rome for AE too, because he wasn't always just playing XP. He played Rome before, and he's still playing Rome now.
Right now, Fredrinn is like, when somebody picks Fredrinn, you automatically assume jungle, right? And you can trick teams in draft. I think Ohio Brothers have done this actually, where they pick in the Fredrinn, but then they flex him to XP. That's a common strat, okay? And it's not a bad one either. So that's what I've seen. Flexing a Fred into a roam position, you can do that only if everybody's like melee. Like, there's a lot of fighters on the enemy team. That's the only time I would actually do that. And then also draft a Lilia on top. You know, that would be cancer. And that's probably the only niche scenario where you would probably draft him in Rome. A lot of fighters, a lot of like upfront type heroes that don't really have that like burst damage. That's when he would work the best. Yeah. PDR was an XP laner only. Who's PDR?
Gosu PDR.
Oh,
He's the guy that I guess used to get sent a bunch of 5-minutes. I was getting beat on.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we played against him in a 5-man together. I'm not sure. But I know I played against him.
What's up, Inari, by the way? Welcome.
He always lost. What is he saying? What's getting retracted?
I'm not sure.
Every time I look down, it's a message.
Look at the. I mean, if you look at the stream, it says, "Oh, he's just being sus." That's why he's retracting the messages. He's just being sus. Him and Shiryu was normal until Bean corrupted him, and now it's like Bean x Shiryu, basically.
He got 20 views a day.
What he said was, "Bean, I got some sour cream dip," is what he said before it got retracted. So there you go. You can see where that's going. Crazy. Other than that, all right. So, yeah. Final thoughts on this. Yeah. I mean, we kind of said it again. I'm not gonna like repeat what we said, but yeah, Ohio Brothers superior draft here, for reasons stated previously. Next one up. Okay. Ohio Brothers actually banning out stuff that makes sense. Kaja, Diggy, Atlas. I mean, okay, I think they're trolling a little bit with the Atlas, maybe. But the Kaj and the Diggy are okay if you know what you're drafting. You know what I mean? I'm going to say I got this screenshot wrong. I want to say that, but I could be wrong. Am I wrong here?
What?
Did I get this at the wrong time? The screenshot. This is day 1, so round 3. This is
Deku.
Oh, it's this match that's actually playing right now. Let me go back a little bit so I can like verify this. Okay, yeah, I got this screenshot wrong in terms of the picks. If you guys look over here, it's Valentina and then Phobius. They got switched at the end. It wasn't picked like this. I'll fix that later off stream. Let me put a note here. Fix this. But okay, so they picked up the Valentina first because it was open. Obviously, they banned Fred, Faramis, and Joy So Valentina was left open, which then these guys over here answered by picking up Lolita and Wan Wan. It makes sense if you're gonna draft Wan Wan to go ahead and take Lolita. You know what I mean?
Indubitably.
Yeah, like there's no other better thing to do here. But you left. I would have preferred you left out Fredrinn if you knew you were gonna maybe get Wan Wan, right? Like, or they would have got Wan Wan or Valentina. Like that was the biggest choices going on right here. Valentina or Wan Wan. Which one were they gonna take? So if you had to make that choice and you knew if you were in their position, right, you would have taken Valentina too, right? Right? And so that means you got Wan Wan, right? But like you shouldn't have been Fredrinn if that was your intention from the get-go. If you thought that far ahead, you should have like changed this into a Valentina ban. Or change this into any other type of like Wan Wan counter ban. Or ban Wan Wan yourself right here and just dealt with a Valentina. Because it kind of forces your draft a certain way. And that's never a good thing. If you're forced in your own draft from the ban phase, you're screwed, right? So they picked up Fanny that early on, okay? Like, they got Fanny right there, and then Cho. Fanny, Cho, Valentina already picked up from their side, and from the side of LaimiTop, they picked up the Martis. That's where I don't agree with it more than anything. Like, I don't agree on this pick versus a Fanny jungle. This is where maybe what Deku said would have been more worth with the Baxia invading, or even the Hilda, anything to slow down the Fanny, basically. Along with your mage being like a backup, like a Lilia, anything to support the invade. That's how you draft an early phase Fanny.
No, I mean the Fanny was Fanny went wrong.
Yeah, I know she went Rome later, but I mean, I'm talking from like the information they had at that point. You know what I mean? Because like they couldn't expect that. Like, to be fair, we have to be fair here. Like, I still would not have drafted a Martis into a Fanny regardless. You know what I mean? Would have preferred something else here as a jungle. Perhaps even something that can burst the Valentina. Or deal with them a little bit better. An assassin of their own, maybe even a Ling, you know? But it wasn't picked up. Regardless, you know, what's done is done. So they had to deal with a Valentina, a Fanny, and a Cho versus a Wan, Martis, and a Lolita. I don't like it. Then they went and banned out Melissa, because otherwise you're gonna get bullied in lane, like Deku said earlier. Eve was banned out for the side of the Ohio Brothers and Benedetta, because actually, doesn't Phobius beat Benny? Debatable.
Yeah, I mean you get a bunch of procs. Doesn't really mean you beat Benedetta.
Okay.
Like I mean it's nice in a team fight, but like just fighting Benedetta shit doesn't really. It's not really a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Benny can't really catch anybody but Valentina, so I guess for the Valentina, keep the Valentina safe. These guys definitely still had Yuzong open, right? They still had Yuzong and Lapu open for XP lane pick. It was not picked up, and they banned out Glue themselves. So I don't know. They drafted Esme. After Lo Yu was picked up first, and Hayabusa was picked up after that. So Lo Yu was picked up first, right? First of all, does that make sense to you, Deku? Would you draft a Lo Yu into a Cho, a Fanny, and a Valentina? I don't think I would. Definitely not.
No, because there was no reason for it, and it doesn't fit with their comp.
That's suicide, right? Like that. As a mage pick, that's suicide, right?
Yeah, because there's not really any goal with it.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Luigi made any
impact
plays in that game, if I recall correctly.
You
I did Jero.
No, yeah, you definitely couldn't with that one. Sorry, Luigi made no sense here, guys. Sorry. Your Farsa was still open. Yeah, they have Valentina, but at least Farce is still open. She can fly away from Fanny if she needs to. I mean, she's still gonna get bursted. Most mages here would get bursted by Fanny. Um, and like, of course, at that point, you're drafting your mage first. I mean, even Lunox is good into Fanny. Just anything that can avoid her, basically, is good. Just many different picks better than Loyi open here. You could not have predicted the Hayabusa and the Phoveus pick. I mean, maybe because of the Wanwan, you could have predicted the Phoveus pick, but the Hayabusa definitely probably surprised LaimiTop more than anything, because that meant that either Cho was going Rome and Fanny EXP or backwards. And from what I hear from Deku, Fanny went Rome, so probably had Petrify too.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. And then
Fanny got MVP.
you got MVP, trust. And then you definitely you don't draft an Esme, bro. Like okay, here's why they drafted Esme. They saw Phoveus, they said big shields, trust. No. They probably slotted that Phoveus into Wenwen's lane. I bet you that's what happened.
No. No, actually, I think
that's crazy.
I think Valentina went gold. No, I think Valentina went gold lane.
What?
I'm almost positive. Valentina did good. Valentina went gold lane and Fove went
no way.
Went EXP.
Man, they even went Mercy on them then. They had Mercy on LaimiTop and didn't go Phoveus gold lane. Like, if they did that, the whole Esme pick would have been invalid completely, because then, you have no shields to abuse, because it's not even in your lane. I'm just saying. There's definitely not enough shields for Esme to be justified here. You know their entire comp, and Esme has no place in it. At that point, you needed damage control.
Actually, no, I'm tripping. It's because Fove didn't go XP. Fove went mid. Cho went XP. So Valentina gold, Fove mid, and Cho XP, and then Fanny Rome. Jungle.
So they're trying to scale up Phoveus really fast then. Makes sense, because he was probably their magic damage dealer then in that case. The point still stands. The Esme pick is a no. Like, I can't think of a reason you would draft an Esme pick into this, other than you know that Phoveus has shields. Like, that's it, but that's not a good enough reason. You needed a stronger EXP lane pick into a Fanny. This is one of the few times where, weirdly enough, Badang would have worked because of Fanny, and only because of Fanny. Or Grok, to be honest with you. A good Grok.
I know EXP.
Yeah, because even worst case scenario, when Fanny dives in like late, right? You can like clutch a wall, stun the Fanny, anything, or anything that could have picked off the Fanny from midair, or stop the Hayabusa. Just literally anything could have worked better than Esme. You needed CC, is what I'm trying to say. You needed more CC to, like, not just any type of CC, but a melee type CC, so that you could benefit from them ganking the Luoyi. Like, you knew Luoyi is a target already.
I would have liked to see a Ruby, but they locked their Roam in so early.
Well, that's a good point though. Like, but see what I mean though. Ruby's on the melee type CC. Anything when you're dealing with assassins like Fanny and Hayabusa, Ling, anybody who can kind of go, in like that and then just abuse your mage. That's when you need to draft those melee type CC picks like Ruby, like Edith, like what's the one? Badang, Akai, Fredrinn. I'm not talking about just this game specifically because Fredrinn was banned. Grok even, because Grok can just wild charge it and fast reaction. Just anything like that. Any type of melee CC really, really helps protect your mages. That's why I harp on it so much that you need ranged and melee damage and zoning. Every comp needs all 4 areas covered. If you don't have those covered and the enemy has abused any weakness you have, you're not going to survive. It is what it is. All right, and let me. That's all I have to say about that. Definitely, Luoyi, Esme, definitely not the best picks. Mardus you can still cope with. Still would have gone with like an assassin type, a jungler, for sure. Or you know what, Deku?
What?
Actually, that's debatable. That's very debatable because they had Valentina. What do you think? Even if they had Valentina, right? Despite the fact they had Valentina, what do you think? Hmm. What do you think, like, about an Akai here as a jungle? Like, that's actually I'm not recommending it. I'm just debating this one. I'm an Akai pick here because Diggy was
What,
banned,
for
but
the one we were
Valentina
just
was
talking about?
open. Yeah, yeah. I mean not as an XP pick. I mean as a jungler.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it didn't matter where it went. Akai would have been good regardless.
Yeah, like despite them having Valentina, what do you think?
Yeah, I would have taken Akai.
I think so, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like anything else on the team was gonna get like one, but they could.
Like if
You already
okay,
had to do
okay.
whatever.
So like here's the point. Like Valentina can get Akai ult and like help zone out Akai, I guess. I don't know. It can help zone out anything diving them, but they don't have the type of comp that's gonna dive. They're paying really backline type comp. So Akai is more of going to be used as an engage tool rather than a peel tool if the ultimate is stolen from Valentina. Over here, it will be used to counter the assassins that are jumping everybody, which is way more valuable. Even Cho, right? Or Phobius. Huh. Oh, the only reason I think there's actually one micro reason where you might not want to do it is because if she does steal a Kai ult, it would reset Phobius's ultimate instantly almost. But they have Wenwen to do that almost already for them anyways, so you know. It's not like it would be even matter that much. They don't have that many dashes either. Okay. Moving along. Any other comments, sir, on this draft? Definitely Ohio Brothers. I don't think the Ohio Brothers necessarily had a superior draft per se until they picked these picks. See what I'm saying?
Never think Ohio really has a great, crazy draft. Ohio just fucking mechanically happens to be blessed and a very non-mechanically blessed. So none of these top teams have ever had a great track record of good drafts. It's just either you're better skills or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me read back
And
up,
until
guys.
someone comes up with some decent drafts and like half the skill, it will never matter. But that's where a team like Empire is coming up. Empire has some decent skill and they have good drafts.
Oh, sorry, Rar. I didn't see your message. Yeah. Tier list thing. We were talking about it earlier. A lot of meta changes happening. We're gonna wait for those to kind of trickle in before I spend a lot of time on the tier list. But I will do one after the season resets and it kind of settles in. Sorry about that. But if you want a quick look at what we're dealing with over here in NA, yeah, I mean it's just not that I agree with it, obviously, but this is what's meta at the moment, right? Like all these picks right here. Like I said, top 25 right here. Um, that's basically our meta over here. Debatable. There's too many picks that are under the radar over here, but I mean you can't blame them. Can't blame the guys.
I got a great tier list you can use actually. Very nice stuff here. That's the tier list. That's the tier list you can use until things change.
There you go.
Very solid, very reliable. Coach from Bigatron.
So yeah, they're
And he even explains like the interactions about the champs and how they're used in different roles to really get you to understand. It's a really good video.
hey yo, trust. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna have to start going through this right here. Okay, so we have a lot to go, and it's like, what time is it? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, let's power through these Deku a little bit more. Honed in on this. So I'm just gonna go through all three bands. Fanny, Diggy, Wan, Joy, Kaja, Cho is Okay, that's actually okay, depending on if you know they have a good Cho and your comp suffers to Cho. Like the draft you're planning to take is gonna suffer to Cho. Then yeah.
They're going against Joy Botch. He's like top one, top two chill player room. So yeah,
Okay. So other than that, banning out the Diggy so early from the side of BTK is like a bait ban, usually. Um, Regardless, what's weird right here is nobody picked the Faramus. I guess is in my opinion. Um, they had the Fred, which is okay. Like you shouldn't. If you were scared of Cho or Fred, I would have banned Fred personally. Um, and then, but yeah, then they had they would have had Valentina. You would have had Faramus or something like that. But regardless, Faramus was not picked up here, and to that point, neither was Glue. So that's something to note in the first three picks right here. Um, Other than that, the answer from the side of Ackerman here was a very good answer with a Valentina and a Melissa pick. This is what we were talking about earlier. This is very good. I 100% very much like this. Answered by
I mean, that's the answer. That's the answer to your Faramus. Why I didn't get locked because that was the response a normal team would have taken. But it would have been good.
Yeah. So but I mean, I guess, but still.
Because if they take the Valentina Paramus, that's when I was talking about. Then you would take the Lolita for your last, and
Yeah.
then you won the first three piece.
Yeah. Still
But
though.
BTK didn't go for Paramus. They went for Farsa, which is fine because Farsa is a
Superior
normal
mobility.
matchup against Valentina, and she wins it. And it's Hoon or not Hoon, Yato.
Yeah, so I mean,
Who
picking up the
Yato
Farsa and the
actually a great
Yuzong, I agree with this like in general, but it's just weird to see the Faramis not get picked. Is what I'm trying to say. Um, but still, it's not bad. I think if I had the choice here, I would have preferred to draft an Eve here, but it is what it is. Because I mean, I just think that Eve and Fredrinn are a stronger duo for you know, objectives and zoning in general. Other than that, they did get the dragon and they got the Lapu here because otherwise they're gonna get banned out. So any other, you were about to say something but I cut you off. My bad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. Because Farsa does have the better range. I mean, if you lock someone down with Fredrinn, that's just it's a free feather strike from Farsa. And again, like it's Yato.
It's Yato.
The fucking name.
Yeah, I mean,
And Valentina's gonna profit from Eve ult. She's not gonna profit from a Farsa ult that much.
true. I guess I'm just more used to seeing Eve and like a healer like Ube comp here than this, but it is what it's an A, so yeah. Lapu picked up because otherwise he would have got banned. I don't think that would have been a real problem. But in this case, the Lapu actually made sense over the Glue. That's why Glue wasn't picked up as well. Then they went for a Claude, Lance, Lolly, Atlas ban. Claude ban. Claude ban, I think is good. Yeah, it's definitely good. It's just weird that BTK went Brody into the Melissa. I'm not sure what happened here, but that should have been a losing lane for Brody. The Kufra is, I guess, again for the Valentina, for sure. They answered that by picking up a Gruk, which is good for Farsa, and a Martis, which does okay into Fredrinn. Like, all this is fine. It's actually a pretty balanced draft. I think this is one of the closest drafts I've seen in general. I would just switch out the Martis for something else. That's all I would have recommended. Switch out the Martis for this type of comp. Yeah. I mean, Diggy's banned. I just You're not wrong. Yeah.
Kai Lapu would have been some crazy,
well, I mean,
crazy action.
And that's what we've been saying earlier too. Like a Kai number 1 into Fred. I mean, you have Valentina, right? So and Diggy's banned. So yeah. Okay, there you go. That's the only edit right there. Right, that good edit right there into that jungle pick. But maybe is Kai and Kush's pool? Should be.
Yeah, he can play it. Yeah, he can play that guy.
Okay. Other than that, it's a very balanced draft. Because while they lose a little bit on the jungle pick, they win on the gold lane pick, and everything else kind of balances out in a sense. So this is probably just a skill issue skill diff. I can't give the draft either way. Like I'm split 50-50 on this draft. You could go either way, just whoever executed it better. So that's the first balanced draft.
Dude.
Let me read up on chat real quick.
It ain't nothing but them arguing.
Okay. Okay. So then we move along then to not be here till 4 a.m., which I don't want to be. Let's see here. Fred, why? Bro, stop banning Fred on the blue side, bro. Fred, Kaja, Faramis ban. Fanny, Wan, Joy ban. Okay, Glue was open. Valentina was open. So many picks open. Okay. All right. Fair enough. They wait for Valentina. I don't think this got picked like this. I think I messed this up again. I can double check. Because I was just grabbing the screenshots whenever I could. This is Ackerman versus BTK Game 2. And they had so it's the next game. It was definitely, whoa, that's, what? Check that out, Deku. I was actually drafted the way it appears there. That's crazy, man.
Interesting.
That's crazy. Okay, so can confirm they picked up a Yuzong and a Diggy. You have Valentina, right? Like, there's no reason to pick Diggy. Absolutely no reason. You should have got Melissa here, but you didn't. They got Melissa way later. They picked up the Lapu first over anything. I guess to deal with Valentina. And then they got the Farsa and the Granger, man. Like, this is insane. Like, why would you do that? I mean, you still got the Melissa, right? You still got the Melissa later, but like, once you have a marksman jungle, you need more chonky roamers, is what I'm trying to say. You need more chonker boys over here. Like, the pickoff is not going to help you much, because Granger doesn't really benefit from pickoffs, and you also don't have much vision in bushes with Cho, right? You don't have much of that, like how would you call it? Macro map vision for rotations specifically. You lack that in this comp, and once you have 3 squishies able to be targeted, that's very bad news. Okay, you don't have the type of peel for it. Like, if you're gonna have this big target right here, you need to make sure that your gold lane is not a big target. So like a Lunox would have been better, which is crazy to say, but it would have been better. You could have banned out the Melissa. The Diggy pick is crazy. Ackerman won this one, I think. Yeah, Ackerman won this one. And they got Karina. So like Karina and Harith. So I'm not sure if Harith wins into a Melissa. Maybe. If Melissa overextends and Harith has his ultimate up, Harith can definitely win. Especially if he gets ganks from these heroes right here. Because you can't really answer it.
I actually think Melissa is one of the few marksmen that can actually fight Harith. Because if you literally just jump in the middle of the zombie force and bubble, Harith literally can't fucking Harris,
Yeah,
Harris can't jump around to
but
get the reset.
like team dynamic wise, like what I'm trying to say is that if you leave, okay, so they have an assassin, right? They have Karina, but I guess my point is that if you leave, if you're Joy Boy or Joy Baj over here, and you're out here trying to get pickoffs, you're gonna be trying to get those pickoffs for Zane, which means that you leave your Melissa unprotected, and she can just get ganked. I mean, there's nothing really to
Melissa doesn't have to get ganked at all, actually. He just got to leave Diggy there and babysit. She's going to lose the bombs.
Yeah, so like there's nothing to really help her is what I'm trying to say. And if you put Cho to help her, Zane would get focused. So this is what I was trying to say. Like this is like you should have got like a Lunox here, right? That would have made more sense. Even like despite not even knowing who they would have picked into gold lane, because you have a marksman jungler, you should have picked something like a Harith or a Lunox here, into the gold lane. It would have been safer. It would have put a lot of pressure off of your roam and then let this kind of comp slide a little bit easier. They answered this by picking Karina and Harith, which again we just went over. I mean the Diggy just basically stopped any pickoffs that Cho would have done, probably. Because that's the only thing he would have to save for, or maybe like a Farsa ult. That's crazy. Like the Diggy pick wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It's just ended up being not bad because of the comp that BTK took here. Very aggressive draft for no reason. What the heck? BTK definitely lost this draft. I can't say it any other way. Despite the bans, like I know we're normally go over the bans at this point, but like I don't think I still don't think there's the Lunox here, and maybe what do you think a good roam would have been here? They had Diggy up obviously, so your setter type roam would have been stolen with Valentina and countered by Diggy.
Oh, the
What
good
do you,
one, the one that would have been really good was the one that got banned, and that's Estes.
Estes? How about a Hilda
Mm,
to like
maybe,
focus Diggy?
maybe,
I,
maybe.
yeah, I think maybe a Hilda could have worked here. Um, yeah. I'm running out of options here. Estes, yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I think it's mostly the gold lane that is too squishy for this type of hero. Granger's not a must meta pick. You
The
need
bigger
it's a
issue
situational one.
that they had to show for is if you put Hilda there, then there's no engage. So like Lapu, but that's not like an engage for the team. That's just like an engage for Lapu. There's nothing to set up for Zane or to set up for Yata. So like
It's,
you get some harass and you get someone that can like bully lane and gold that won't lose to Diggy Bombs because the region, but then there's nothing to set up any potential for BTK.
well, I mean, it's either that or you get your setup potential countered by Diggy's ult later on. You know, you had two choices.
She got Farsa.
I still think Atlas would have been okay.
Diggy wouldn't have countered that because if they would have played that right with Farsa and Lapu, Brave Fighter and Feather Airstrike is definitely more than enough to force a Diggy ult. The same way
Yeah.
it's enough to force a full altar.
So maybe Atlas, I think then. Um,
Nah, they needed that Estes. The one they needed is the one that got banned. That Estes
well, yeah. I mean,
would have
besides,
been.
we're just a little bit more option. Maybe, yeah. I think Atlas maybe too.
I was be getting fucked.
Really?
I don't even like Atlas anymore. I think he's a really bad rogue.
Or
Just because he's so squishy. I mean, you're going up against.
what do you think
He's
about
gonna
Kufra
get
here?
poked out.
Even Kufra.
Kufra would have been better.
Yeah. Valentina or Harris the target.
It would have been better than that shot.
Okay, so yeah, Kufra Estes. Yeah. Maybe even a Kai.
Yeah, Kai's always going to be good if
Okay.
you fucking pick him.
You can pick him.
That next game is just
Uh,
Ube. That's just Ube diff.
Ube diff.
That
What are
is.
you guys
They
still
got
talking?
hit by
Okay.
they got hit by the Feramus Estus. They had Valentina, but they got overloaded by the Estus.
Trust. Okay. So
And
yeah,
they had a team fight comp as well, which
this
you
is a,
can't team fight if you can't sustain.
yeah.
So they lost.
Well,
Easy.
sorry, sirs, but yeah, this is these last three picks do not sync. It is what it is. The G next.
Ube gap.
Yeah.
Coach
I
Von.
remember. I remember being in UA's chat for this one. I think, yeah, you were in there too. I think I was talking about this one, bro. If they had a Moskov here, it would have been so much better. Oh my goodness! Like in terms of how they executed this, I saw this match. It was executed bad on both sides to the point where it was almost even. Um, but to that point, Fanny Diggy Wan Wan ban. Okay, again they banned the Diggy and the top. This is the same bans that they had for the first phase. And the difference here is that they banned the Fredrinn, the Joy, and the Kaja, instead of the Cho over here, right? And then BTK won this one because they got the Fred, right? I mean, plus what we said earlier. But where it got crazy is that they got Valentina, and then these guys picked up the Yuzong and the Claude, even over the Melissa. And the reason for that is because they were planning to take Faramis or counter Faramis. Most likely counter Faramis pick. Knowing that, these guys were also expecting the Faramis pick, right? And so they went ahead and got the Lolita, and I mean, obviously there's a Claude already, but that's why they got the Lolita, to answer the future Faramis pick, and then to deal with the Claude. But then they got the Arlott, man. This is where I was trying to tell y'all earlier. This is where it does not make sense. Like, just because they have Faramis or will have Faramis does not mean Arlott will be good. You could have got Lapu here. It would have been better. Way better. Like Deku said earlier, he can just proc that Code Altar or even deal with it himself. Better pick here, Lapu. You don't have the mage for the Arlott to pop off in the way that he needs to pop off. Then the next bands were Melissa, Lance, Smartis, and Brody. Basically completely killing the marksman hero pool, except for Moskov, right? Like, Moskov was still open. But they got Carry instead, and they got Carry for what? You know there's a Cold Altar, which is AoE, right? So you know that you need to deal with AoE damage. But Carry a single target. This is my biggest gripe with the whole comp. I think Barats was working fine for them, actually. Like, it was doing good enough. The Carry also popped off a little bit, but in general, the Moskov pick would have been so much better, because no matter who they drafted, even if they drafted like this melee type jungler, or even an assassin, if they would have got like picked up a Ling or a Hayabusa, it doesn't matter. Moskov has a better survival rate, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And in those grouped up fights where Faramis thrives, Moskov is better at, chipping that down in the case that Melissa, Claude, and what's the other one? And Brody are banned or picked out or whatever. So yeah, Moskov for sure. Where's the Moskov players? And then they got Ubaid, and then Deku was talking about this in UA stream. They got the Faramis shields on top, and then Estus healing them underneath that, which is crazy. That's why they could sustain for so much. And even if they had gone a damage Karina, which they didn't, even if they had gone a damage Karina, it would have been fine. The only reason you wouldn't want to is maybe because you would more easily force out the ultimates from these two to save her. But you could have done like a hybrid one where you build tanky at first, then you start building damage just to buff up, or just not even damage, just the Holy Crystal is enough to boost your passive damage on Karina by like an insane amount. So that right there is not bad. It's just there's also no knockups here that really stop the Claude, etc, etc, etc. Main gripe, definitely Moskov. Unless Deku, you recommend any other marksman here? maybe Beatrix, but Beatrix is such a bad win rate. You know what Beatrix win rate is? Let me go find her. Where are you at?
No, no.
Let me go
Look at
find
it.
her.
You're talking about the marksman for the side of the BTK?
Yeah, look at that, 22% win rates. Over
Nah, yeah, I would
carry.
have Moscow. Yeah, Moscow would have been better because carry single target. That's always going to be ass against this
Yeah.
frames. You always need the AOE.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we agree on that. Other than that, I mean, there that could have been a Lapu IMO. That could have been a Lapu. Definitely could have
I
been a
think the
Lapu.
only the only other marksman that could have got the job done was a fucking Hanabi.
I was about to don't say Han. I was about to say don't say that. I already knew what you were gonna say.
Maybe hold up.
No, oh,
Maybe what's
Natan
his
would have
name?
done it
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was going to say. He would have been good. You can't fucking heal that shit. That fucking shitter.
Yeah, yeah.
That guy's ridiculous. He would have been really nice, actually.
All right, so Natan or Moskov Sirs. Okay, it's definitely is that in Yuna's hero pool? I think one of them is. Should be Moskov at least.
Shit, man. If you're gonna be a gold laner at this stage, I hope so.
But yeah, slight edge. Actually, no, big edge in draft. The fact that it was close is kind of weird. So I guess, yeah. GG's though. Ackerman won the draft here. Let me read up on chat again. Sorry, unless you guys are just being sus still.
They probably still being sus. Do these people even play Mobile Legends?
They do. It's like I see them in other streams sometimes. Oh, some of them, not all of them. And then they just be like any people that they just be like having their own. It's like how would I describe it? It's like the hangout place where they hang out after like school kind of area. They're just like, oh yeah, it's a nice place. It's a nice environment to just be sus, you know. But yeah. All right, moving along. I guess it's a good if you're looking at the VOD, it's a good like side conversation to have, like a good what do you call it? How would you describe that? Like a good distraction on the side.
Crazy.
Um,
My question, what question? Oh, Shadow asked if Lu Yi would have Lu Yi worked with Arlott and Lolita there.
mm, instead of Valentina, mm, no, because they had Dragon. And you would have had to they would have had to had ban Valentina. Like the fact that Valentina's open and she's your mage. Yeah, no. Not happening. Think I'm a burden. Nah, I'm cool with y'all. I'm just trying to make sure that people that are actually asking questions get their questions answered. That's all. But we chilling. All right, almost done with day one. Um. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about this. Is there is Wasians trolling at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, cause
In my opinion, yeah.
I was asking myself what's up with the Gujin and the Joy. I mean the Gujin ban both times, right? Does Empire have a Gujin sweat or something? Is that what it is?
They do actually. They're mid laner.
Okay, so maybe there's a
Demon, he
reason.
does play Gruul.
Okay, maybe then. Okay, so they banned Gujin, Joy, and Fredrinn. I don't know why. Again, I'm just gonna stop saying that because it's like why you do that to yourself. But yeah, Feramis, Kaja, and Glue ban. They picked up Lapu over Valentina, um, which is weird. Knowing what's open, I guess. Um, Even Wanwan was open at that point, you know? And so yeah. Faramis was banned at that point as well. So I mean not as a first pick for Wanwan, but I mean the fact that she wasn't picked up at all until the second phase of where she got banned out is kind of crazy. And to add on like salt to that wound is the fact that Melissa didn't even get considered at all here. Like, that's crazy. Um, but
That's just how it be, man.
that's crazy. Uh, then they got Martis and Valentina over here, proceeding along to the weirdness. Farsight and Brody got picked up. So, like,
Zero is a very good heart person. You don't know that man behind the camera. He's a monster.
he's a monster. So then you have, you could have got a Melissa here into the Brody and just bullied the Brody lane. I mean, still, like, not like they lost, but still. Yuzong got picked up. I don't. Man, at this point, like from a draft analysis point of view, I really can't justify anything being picked here at all. Like the draft dynamic doesn't really work here. I can't even just try to help them out here and say, oh yeah, then this is banned because or picked because of this. It's just kind of copium. This is kind of like the typical ranked type brain cells where you just pick whatever you know is strong and then just G the ranked game with it. It's more like a ranked game draft. Hayabusa, Wen, and Claude getting banned, and Karina as well. If you would have picked up Melissa, you would have had no reason to ban the Karina, to be honest with you. Chacho picked up the Baxia to stop, to invade or stop. I don't know why there was a Baxia picked up. It doesn't make sense. And Cho was picked to pick off Valentina or Beatrix, I guess. There's enough damage to follow up on it for sure, but yeah, whatever. And the Kufra was picked up so to counter. I'm not sure who had dashes like that over there. I don't think. Maybe just Cho. But I mean, Cho can stop Kufra if he's a sweat, right?
It's annoying the part though. That's how I was talking about earlier when I saw it up against the Xavier. I think they did it for that because Kufra is a pick like Kufra is very annoying. The Farsa. Very very annoying.
I mean, just avoiding the actual logic behind what they drafted. Despite the weirdness, this draft is still better than this draft over here because.
Also, that's reckless, and I'm pretty sure. Because, a matter of fact, I think he was the other Kufra that you were talking about.
Oh.
So yeah, I think it's just his thing.
Okay, so yeah,
Kufra's not bad. If he's like,
no,
it's not really ever a bad Kufra.
It's like a Kai kind of almost. You know, it's a little bit different, a little bit more engagey. Other than that, the Baxia cope into this, like, it doesn't make sense in my opinion. And then the Cho, I guess unless you're trying to get pickoffs on these two, maybe Cho can be justified. It's just this really throws it off. And then the Brody instead of a Melissa, I mean, whatever. Draft wise, obviously Empire has a better draft here. I can't say any other thing other than that. Even like I'm trying to like not have bias or like imply bias by knowing who wins. It's just like it's so crazy the levels of difference between drafts. Like the only one we had that was close earlier. Which one was it? The
BTK, I think was solo.
Yeah, the BTK.
BTK game one.
And yeah, the first one. Yeah, this was the most balanced one we saw, and then everything else just like completely way out of the park. Anything else to add on there? I mean, I don't think there's much to say other than that's a weird draft dynamic, and yeah, there's kind of like G next. Yeah, okay, moving along. Now, second game of the last game of week 2, day 1 was let's see here. That's a okay. When Fairness Kaja ban, and usually implies when you have a Kaja ban on the first round, implies you're gonna pick usually a assassin jungle. Diggy, Valentina, and Joy ban. That's interesting. That's very interesting because you leave glue open, right? And Empire left glue open. They didn't care, and they picked up Martis. So I'm not sure
through the whole thing.
And
he didn't
like
get banned or picked.
Who?
I said he was left through the whole thing. He didn't get banned or picked. The glue.
No, he got picked right here.
Oh shit, I'm blind.
You know what's crazy? Who wasn't? Both of these games? Melissa. Huh?
Well, Melissa wasn't banned or picked in a lot of games.
Huh? So yeah, anyways, they got them artists for reasons I do not know, first pick. And these guys picked up the glue and the farsa. Okay, I think that's a W so far. Then they got Claude and Lapu, which is, I mean, it's okay. It's just like the same logic as before. It just looks like a ranked game, honestly. I bet you Wasians would have won this game if they had not taken a Franco over here on the side of Empire. That probably is what killed him. This is a deciding factor, probably, most likely. Because they had the follow-up with the Lunox. But Grok is a good counter. Grok is a good counter, or like a good pick into a Franco.
Yeah.
But
Grok is good in Franco.
Still, though. I mean, aside from Glue's... Yeah, aside from Glue's Immobilize and Farsa's stun that comes up on cooldowns and Grok's complete wild charge, there's not much to stop that suppression. Or Claude for that matter. And a fed Claude is just better AoE than carry all the time. And carry is better against those tanky type comps, weaker against those bursty type comps. So, I mean, you could make an argument that this could have worked in theory, but there's also no one really for Glue to really latch on to, right? Because Lunox and Claude both very hard to catch. And
I mean, I said that at the thing, matter of fact. We were talking about during the watch party that there was none really for him to grab onto, and he couldn't grab shit.
Yeah.
The only person he could have grabbed at any point was going to be Alex or Reckless, and that's nothing. That's not good.
No. Huh. Okay, well, yeah, sorry, Wasians. You know, I was... Powerless is Ooga Booga, right?
Yeah.
No
Hanabi, no win.
No Hanabi, no win. I was more of like a Powerless fan, man, but man's spamming Hanabi. I don't know if I want to be continuing being a Powerless fan anymore, man. Like, do I stick to my guns or not?
He's gathering a nice following of fans right now, so he's gonna be okay.
Oh, what? What's going on here? Sweaty, huh? Huh? Okay, I'm gonna pretend I didn't read anything. Trust. All right. Week 2, day 2. Ackerman versus LaimiTop. Ackerman won, but it wasn't a sweep. I don't know what you call this properly, but regardless.
You're going through week 2, day 2?
Yes, sir. Finally.
Huh? Huh? Oh, nah. I gotta go.
Oh, isn't this where you saw all of them?
Huh?
Didn't you cast all
Yeah,
these?
I saw these.
I mean, if you have to drop, bro, just go. Yeah, it's fine. I'll power through the rest of these.
I'm fucking tired.
So yeah,
I didn't know we had a double.
Yes, sir. But actually, you know what? Let's talk. Before you leave, I want to talk. I'll do one weird one out of place. Let's talk about this alpha one. Before you go. Before you go. The one where Deku ate his words.
Tell me why it was so big brain.
No.
It wasn't. I still don't think it was big brain.
No. You could have drafted Paquito here, and it would have been better. At this point.
Fucking meme.
Draft superiority wise, BTK has the superior draft hands down. I'm just gonna power through everything and just be like, yep. Yeah, they had the hands down. They had Valentina to steal the casual. There's nothing to say other than they had the superior draft. um, the only thing Wasians could have done if they were sticking to their guns is I know they've been like force locking the Hanabi and the Edith and the either the Faramis or the Farsa basically. So other than that, all I have to say is that the alpha pick was wild. You could have drafted Paquito here and still have that knockup on better cooldown, better rotation speeds, better everything than alpha. I mean,
That shit was crazy.
if you have any type of actual real explanation to why it would work, is because he has a knockup to land on Claude. Trust.
He did land it. He did land that shit on quad. I'll give him that.
So there you go. But Paquito also has that, and he can also land it on Claude. At that point, you know. So, but he also has burst. You know, Paquito has burst to follow up his knockups or integrated with his knockups. So yeah, there you have it. That's basically it. If you wanna, I'm gonna have fun talking about these last comps right here. But if you have to go Deku, then by all means, bro, just no worries. Just I'll just go through the rest of this.
I'll probably hop in the chat.
All right,
I want to
trust.
go lay down.
Trust.
Yes.
You can go be sus with the chat, sir.
Hell no.
Go control Bean, bro. Bean control. It's Bean. Bean is the culprit. Alright, Deku's gone, guys. I'm gonna leave the VC. Alright. Bean, Deku's coming for you. Alright. So I'm gonna power through these guys. If you guys need me, ping me. I'm gonna move the stream chat a little bit closer to my focal range since I'm not looking at Discord anymore. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Week 2, day 2. Deku has logged off for the day. He might still appear in the chat according to him. All right, powering through these. All right, Ackerman versus LaimiTop, game 1. The Fanny Martis and Farsa were banned. Interesting bans for a first ban phase, and Faramis, Joy, and Fredrinn from the side of LaimiTop, which is understandable type of bans. But you did leave a couple picks open. I'm going to assume I also read this one wrong, and I didn't mean to stop this here. But I'm going to assume I read it wrong, and I'm going to go scroll back over here to make sure that I did not read it wrong. Yeah, I need to fix this one, let me write myself a note. I apologize for this. And I'll just restart this because VOD purposes, it's needed. Okay. It got flipped so fast. Okay, so what was picked actually was excuse me. No, it was like that. No way. Really? No, it was like that. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. So, Valentina was picked up first, as you can see from the actual live thing, which would have made more sense. It makes more sense to me. LaimiTop answered that by letting go of Kaja, getting a Barat and an Eve first, which is crazy. I think you would have got the Eve and the Kaja at least, or I mean even Wanwan was open. That's crazy. They just left all the meta picks open for the side of Ackerman here, and yeah, so they got Wanwan, they got Kaja, and they got Valentina. Faramis was banned, and that even left up a Lolita for these guys to pick up as a possibility, right? They didn't get it. They got the Kufra later on, apparently, and they got the Beatrix. So, Melissa was not banned in this phase, so I think that there's a missed opportunity because Kaja needs, that engage, that flicker engage, and Melissa's a good answer to that in general if you can predict it. And it's also, good against any type of real comps like that, but yeah. And she also bullies Wan in lane, so it would have forced Kaja to stay a little bit more down in that bot lane or in the gold lane, whatever it was. Other than that, I mean, if you're not gonna answer for these picks, they're just gonna pick them up, right? The Valentina, the Kaja, and the Wan Wan. They banned out Yuzong, Fovius, and Franco for the Wan Wan, but the Yuzong was banned over for, I guess, the Eve, maybe, and the Karina was banned out again, I guess, for the Barats. I'm not sure exactly why these bans. They don't really make sense in my opinion because Glue was still open. I think one of these should have gone to Glue for sure because Glue can just actually, profit off the Eve ult, and also profit off a lot of these picks that they took because there's just no answer to it really. Even a Lapu ban would have been good as well, or they should have picked up the Lapu themselves. There was no real reason for the Arlott pick either. It's just you're going Arlott into a suppress is crazy, and the Kufra though, I think maybe the Kufra was the best answer they had, but in terms of engages and stuff, you would have had a better time with Lolita for sure. The Barats pick was just not necessary here. You're basically you gave them everything essentially. This is a full meta comp with heroes that are usually picked or banned against not that. So that's those are the results, of course. So I mean, there's nothing else to say there. Yeah, Deku's in the chat now. There you go. All right. So moving along, game 2. So Laim is first now. They banned Wan, Valentina, and Kaja. Usually it indicates. I see Kaja on the blue side. I know that usually indicates assassin jungle. For me, that's usually what it indicates. But it's for both sides usually. So you usually have to take the better one. And then Ackerman took the Fanny immediately, I think. And once again, it's just like some of these decisions are so crazy or so radical that I have to make sure that's actually what happened. And that is indeed what happened. Yep. Okay, I'm just making sure it's exactly how it is over here. Yep. It's exactly that way. Okay. So this is actually the way it was drafted. And to that, I have to say that, I mean, the Faramis being picked up is great. First decision here. The fact that these guys picked up the Fanny so early on is insane. I guess they were thinking that maybe it was going to get stolen or something, but you usually don't do that, especially for heroes like Fanny. Unless you have something else planned. The Yuzong was a very good pick, but if there's a Faramis, Lapu would have been a better choice here, because it's just that much better, dealing with Faramis specifically. So I think a Lapu, maybe a Lapu Melissa pick would have been better here, but I digress. Franco picked up good suppress hero. They're gonna have to start to draft a lot of more answers to that. So Yuzong in that sense is better to handle the Franco, but they need to be very wise about not just having Yuzong be the only one here to handle that. Brody does good into Fanny anyways, but so does Melissa and so does Moskov. So those are options that were open here that I think would have done better. For the second phase bans, Akai was banned over here, and Claude and Melissa were banned over here. Good, because they both kind of bully Brody. Well, maybe not Claude, but Melissa does at least. And then the Benny was banned over here to deal with I guess, to safeguard the Farsa. And then the Arlott here was picked. Again, this is where I was trying to say you can't just, be drafting Arlott anywhere. I know it worked. I know they won. But I don't think it would have been. It wasn't like exactly the best choice. None of these P heroes right here are actually easy to, catch. If you know what I mean. Like right here, if you would have got Lapu, he still wasn't banned. You could have really got a Lapu here, and you would have been fine. And possibly even better, avoided a possible counter pick here. Well, actually no, because Yuzong was already picked here. Sorry, kind of had a brain lapse there. Other than that, Lance is a good pick into a Fanny. There's a lot of or anything in general. It's a good jungle pick here. I don't think there's any tank junglers left. Actually, that would have made sense. No, definitely not. Well, maybe one, but okay, yeah, nah. Lance is fine. Lance is a good pick. They could have also got like a Link here, and been fine. Harris pick here into the Brody, I assume is where he went. Not bad. Still, you're relying on the Fanny and basically reaping any of these people, but you have the Cold Altar to answer for Fanny's burst, and there's not enough marksman type burst to follow up on any kind of Fanny engage. That's why this failed. I mean, this would have worked if they had a marksman to go into that Brody, which is something they could have secured earlier as well. So that's what I was trying to say earlier. I mean, Moskov is still open. They could have got Moskov and basically had a better time against them. Again, Moskov is just underrated into a Faramis at this point. It's definitely underrated because I haven't seen it. Yeah, y'all still being sus, so y'all trust. So yeah. Alright, other than that, I think if you guys would have had a marksman here, Ackerman, you guys would have won and got a sweep here, but you didn't, so you just had to deal with it and, you know, win in the next game, which is, I guess, what happened. Arlott was banned here, which is interesting. There's not really a comp that Arlott can really abuse here, so that's weird, but interesting. Fanny, Martis, and Fredrinn banned first, and Joy, Wen, and Faramis were banned here. So Glue was open again, and so was Valentina. So they got the Kaja over the Valentina. So despite the fact that Valentina can get the suppression that Kaja has, it still went and selected the Kaja over that. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think they even each other out in terms of the ultimate in the kit with Flicker. As Valentina's obviously not as tanky, but you can draft a tank for that. The Lunox is a good follow-up to any suppression, so I'm not taking any points for that. But so is Farsa, right? So Farsa was open and was not picked up. So, you know, pick or choose your own battles here. And once again, I don't see any Melissa. Carry was drafted, and that's where the issues happen. I mean, you're dealing with a new meta here, basically. They're following like M4 type style picks. Lapu is good. I don't see any problem with Lapu in this matchup, other than the fact that you know, they have a Valentina, not a Faramis, and they have a Claude. So I don't see any problems with that. I like it. I like the follow-up burst from Lunox. Farsa would have also worked. Only thing I don't like is that carry pick. Arlott and Benedetta banned. Benedetta did not need to be banned if you have a Lunox, more if you had a Farsa. I think it was just a generic ban, and so was Arlott. Diggy and Melissa were banned because they picked up Atlas on their third pick, and so they didn't want them to pick up a Diggy, which they couldn't have anyways because Kaja was already the roam, and if he got flexed into jungle, that would have been worse for them. So yeah, Melissa was banned out so that they couldn't pick up a Melissa at that point, and they got carry. Wen Punch got the Lancelot here. Could have been a Kai. Could have been a Kai because you already have Valentina and Diggy. You have Valentina picked and then Diggy banned. So you could have picked up an Akai here, and you know, but I guess you wouldn't have had enough damage. That's why Lancelot was picked. But Claude does good damage, and if you have an Akai pin, I don't know. I think it could have worked. You just would have to deal with that Lunox burst and the suppress. But it would have been easier to deal with those heroes over there. You could have zoned them out better. Barats was picked over there. I guess Barats does well into everything that was picked over here. No real complaint there. honestly. I mean, you could have picked up, even on their side, you could have picked up, I guess, a different tank jungler or tanky jungler like Martis would have been fine too. To go into the Atlas. Oh, sorry, Martis was banned in the first phase, so I can't even say that. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's a good pick into that type of CC. And then Grok was picked over here. Grok being a good answer to Kaj most of the time, because of the walls, and it makes him waste his only dash usually. So yeah, no points off on the Grok. I think that that's okay. Definitely would have gone for a Yuzong, knowing that they had a carry, right? And probably dived the carry and had forced Kaja to waste its press on the Yuzong, basically, leaving Lance and Claude open for or free, basically. Other than that, I just don't like the carry much here. It did well because they had Atlas and Grok, I guess, but that's not enough to like justify it. You definitely could have picked up Moskov here. Even Brody, I guess. Anything over carry, anything AoE is superior right now in this meta. So yeah. Damus. Watching one brain cell being good pick into a Lapu EXP. Yo, Damus though, the Damus shout out, trust. I think you guys are interesting people. But yeah, okay, so that's all that I had to say for that. Ackerman won. I think that this could have worked for sure. The only problem here is that they had the suppressed prio. No, they didn't even have the prio. They had it with Valentina. It was probably just an execution issue. This definitely could have won. Yeah, that's I'd say it's a pretty even draft. Just probably execution. Yeah, I can see this working. The probably only real problem was dealing with the Lunox burst and the Lapu burst stacked in those engages. So, but you had a wild charge and an Atlas ult set in a Valentina taunt or horrify, I guess. The only way this didn't work is if Lapu kept cutting the Grok and not letting Grok to rotate the team fights. I guess if that's what happened, then I guess that's GG. I call him broke, not bored and interesting. Barretz gets the Munchin versus Akai. Skill issue if you fail the matchup. Trust? I mean, Barretz usually swallows the jungler. That's usually what he does. And then he retreats while they're being like swallowed. Yeah. But he's also immune to ult while doing that, so you don't really have to get their jungler, but it's better if you do. Yeah. Fallout versus Empire. Yeah, Empire did a reverse sweep here. So when Martis, Fred, again with the Fred, Fanny, Joy, Kaj, okay, respectable bans here. Valentina picked up, okay, good. And then Lapu and Faramis picked up, very good. Very good answer from Empire here. Claude and Lolita picked up, good answer from the side of Fallout. I just would have replaced that Claude with a Melissa. Would have saved you from that pick that Alex got over there. I mean, not like you didn't win, I guess, but still, that point still stands. Melissa, Lolita would have been better here. Moving along, they got Ling and Yuzong, Diggy, and Grok banned. The glue into a Lapu, I mean, Lapu still wins, but there's more to attach to here, because Karina is, a melee type hero, and so is Faramis, right? So there's definitely something for glue to attach onto. It's not gonna dash out, run away, or immune it. So yeah, good choice here over Yuzong. And the Kufra here into this is okay. And then they also got the Melissa. So like Glue can't really go on Melissa. But Lancelot is a good pick into a possible Melissa. So if they were thinking that far ahead, good call out there, like good choice. You guys should have taken it personally. But yeah. Other than that, aside from the glue causing problems to the Karina and the engages, it was also a pretty even draft. I would say, in terms of who should have won it, I think Empire should have won this from this draft. It's a upset, I guess. First upset one that I've seen. Drywall. Yeah. Lance can dash way too much through Barats. He can, I mean, in general, most of the tank junglers he can avoid. That's why he's good, and he can build tanks a lot. Second match, Empire Fallout, Fanny, Wan, Faramis band. Okay, very good bands. Joy, Mardis, and Valentina were banned. So this is a last-ditch effort to leave some broken picks up on the table. Empire picked up Glue first pick, which is interesting because it can be countered, right? Fallout got the Kaja and the Fredrinn here. So, okay, good choices. It definitely stops any assassin pick, right? But you have to realize that that's a Glue, and you're a Fred. So, you know, Glue's definitely going to sit on someone here. So you're going to have to start drafting, like, a Melissa or other heroes related to her. Or, like, Moskov. Anything that can push off the Glue, or you need Burst. You need to start drafting Burst. They got Farsa and Lolita. Lolita, I guess, was a preemptive pick, so they wouldn't get banned out later. Or they're planning to take something like that. So yeah, Farsa, good pick. Nothing much to say. There's Burst right there for them. Not a bad pick, not a bad choice. Matter of fact, if you would have picked Eve right here into this Kaja Fredrinn, it would have been even more annoying because they can't move. And the Glue profits from not being able to move, right? So, I mean, y'all still won with the Farsa, but yeah, just another point. Hanzo was banned to avoid... That's the first Hanzo ban I've seen, actually. To, I guess, avoid the Fredrinn counter. Yuzong was banned to save the Farsa, and so was Kadita. But, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Lapu is still open. And then they got a Lilia picked here. So when there's a Lolita and the Glue, the Lilia doesn't really make sense. I think that you guys, this is where you could have picked up something like I mean, even for your side, you could have picked up an Eve. There's no Valentina, right? Literally anything could have been better than Lilia here. You just needed more range to zone them out, right? But yeah, and then the Melissa ban is also pretty good because you have you know, two of those melee heroes. Then it got answered with an Alice, who's just gonna dive backline, or yeah, so that's a good pick. And then the Hayabusa over here was picked to kill, let's see, 1, 2, 3 chonky people. So I guess to kill either the Granger or the Farsa. Good luck with that. If they group up, which they probably will, you're not going to really do it. So this would have been a better, like, a Ling pick or something, because then you could have out-split pushed them. They don't really have a good, strong split push. Definitely would have profited more from a Ling here. And you have the Kaja, right? So they wouldn't have done anything about it. Yeah, I think that's the only complaint I have. Yeah. Should have got yourself a Ling here and a different mage. Yeah. Actually, that means that Fredrinn was flexed to XP into an Alice. Not a good sign either. So, yeah. Yeah, or just left your Fredrinn. You could have just left your Fredrinn to jungle and drafted here a yeah, you could have drafted a Lapu. Lapu was open to deal with the Farsa. Would have been easier, you know. Yeah. So yeah, Lapu was still open. I'm trying to think of anything else that was still open at this point that could have avoided any of these engages. Yeah, I think Lapu was what I would have recommended. Oh, sorry, Shadow. I'm going back up and reading. Yeah, so Akai was a better choice versus the Grok, Atlas, and Lance combo. Grok, Atlas, and Lance. Grok, Atlas, and Lance. No, oh, you mean right here, like, as their, like, last pick? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would have been, I mean, Barat's not a bad pick, and Akai would have been a good pick, too. Especially because they banned out the Diggy here. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Good observation, sir. What if you can't play Ling? Is Haya not a good replacement? Not necessarily. If you already had Fred into this type of comp, you needed somebody to zone them out, to burst them down, so that Fred could have profited a little bit more, and then a zoning type mage. But in general, if you can't play Ling, but you can play Hayabusa, it's debatable, because while Ling can kind of be all over the map, Hayabusa can't really do that, you know? What's up, Shoyo? Welcome to the stream. Is the Harley Carmilla still 5-man available, Zero? Or he destroys Fred? No, not anymore. Shoyo, ignore Bean and Shiryu. They're sus. They're very sus. I'm doing good. Just trying to get through these drafts. Been a long stream. But yeah, Shoyo, I advise you to avoid Bean and Shiryu unless you want to get like sus brained. Yeah. Let me drink some juice here. How I'm not sus? Cap. You bean sus, bro. You bean sus. Okay. Alright, next up is Empire versus Fallout Game 3. Martis, Fredrinn, and Ban. Whoa, I was like Kaja, but that's a Fanny. Whoa, Fanny, Faramis, and Joyban. Okay, good. Valentina picked up. Good. Glue and Farsa picked up. Okay, debatable on the Glue. It's interesting that I say that because, you know, Glue's usually pick or ban. But you can always, like, outdraft a Glue if you do it right? Like, if you get enough people that Glue can't really latch on to. But regardless, it's not a bad pick either. So, yeah, Glue and Farsa, okay, good, I get it. Not bad. Lolita and Benedetta is crazy. Like, Benedetta this early is crazy. You definitely could have picked up Melissa and got Benny later. Like, hello... theme of the night, I guess. But then they picked up a Kufra, I guess, to deal with the Benny dashes that early on, and which is not a bad idea actually. So yeah, Kufra to deal with the Valentina and the Benny and the Loli dashes, good engage, counter engage. Yeah, I like this. I like this Kufra pick here. Could have skipped out on the Glue a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, it's not bad. Later on, Lance, Alice, Phovius banned. Phovius probably banned for the Benny, and Alice probably also banned for the backline here. I'm not sure exactly on the Alice ban. Lancelot banned. That's a little bit more sus. You know what's interesting? Kaja was open here. For both sides, so you know they could have got a Kaja at some point. Well, these guys couldn't because Valentina was open, but these guys could have picked up a Kaj instead of a Loli. It's interesting. Claude over here open. I mean, sorry, banned. So yeah, I mean, it's still Melissa was still open. Like you could have picked up Melissa right here, even in the last phase. Roger picked up with this kind of comp. There's enough follow up for Roger to actually work. I can see that working here. Carry's gonna get zoned out, picked off. There's not enough. I mean, there's peel here, there's peel here, etc., etc., etc. But if you like laser focus onto her, there's no real. If you have the right heroes, there's no way she's really surviving, right? And to that point, you have a Glue drafted and a Lapu drafted. So they're definitely just diving that carry. That definitely what happened right there. No other way I can see it because I don't see any MM being picked. Interesting game draft. In terms of standard, who has a more standard comp? I'd say Fallout had a more standard comp, but the Benny being picked this early into this kind of comp, I mean, it's good because of the Farsa, right? But it's still a little bit weak. You could have got a dragon here. You could have got the Yuzong. It would have been better to deal with the Glue as well. I don't know. In this case, where you already have this type of comp, you have a Loli, a Benny, a Valentina, and a carry, and you know, excuse me, that they have a Roger, Glue, Kufra, Farsa. Akai is not a bad pick, right? It's not a bad pick at all. I just think it was the fact that you probably got outplayed here, like honestly, with the Lapu pick here, diving the carry. And nothing much else to respond for. They outburst you. Your only real sources of damage are Valentina, who has to get in melee, and Benny, who has to get in melee, and Carrie, who has to get in sub melee. So you don't have a lot of zoned out type damage. And they do. They have zone ranged damage, and they have melee damage. They have melee zoning, and they have ranged zoning as well. The zoning coming through the damage, right? And they also have the dive. So yeah, from a team compatibility overall, you lack the ranged magic damage, ranged zoning over here. More than anything, that's what you lacked. So apart from Benny ult, you don't have it. That's probably why there was an L there. Excuse me. I think my voice is starting to die, guys. Sapphire, I walk in the chat expecting this stuff. It's not even a surprise. Yeah, I'm not surprised either at this point. Thanks, Shoyo. Rabbit raccoon, what in the raccoon? Alright then. Okay then. Okay. I was not expecting the raccoon stuff. Okay. Oh, almost done here. Okay, Ohio brothers, let's go. Sometimes I think they're trolling because they just have better mechanical and macro. Sometimes I feel like they just get bored and start trolling in the drafts, and it works because they're just superior. Interesting way to say it, but yeah. Let's see if they got serious for day 2. Diggy, Glue, Wanwin ban, good bans. Yeah, good bans. Diggy kind of, you know, frees up any Valentina pressure, really. But it also leaves Fred open, yeah, if they left it open. But you could have got Valentina and then not worry about Diggy. Anyways, responded with the Kaja, Fanny, Joy ban right here. And they got Fred first pick. Good. Very good. Okay. There we go. Perfect example. It worked on the day before with the Fermis and the Valentina, right? But there, you need the 2 chonky boys, right? You got Cho and you got Martis. Cho pick off. You need burst to support it. You don't have it. You needed a chonky boy here. Chonky boy. And Martis is chonky enough, so it works. But Area 77 picked up the Faramus and the Valentina. It can work. They just didn't make it work eventually. So, anyways, these guys over here, they picked up the Melissa and the Arlott, which is interesting because normally you would expect a Lolita pick right here instead of an Arlott pick into a Faramus and Valentina. Again, maybe they were also thinking like most people do, which is you see Faramus, you draft Arlott, right? You know, big brain kind of thing. The reason it worked is because they had the zoning and the ability to make it work through Eve and Fredrinn. So that's why it worked, okay? Not just because Arlott is good into Faramus. Then the bans came through Farsa, Lapu, Akai. Lapu being able to still stomp on Melissa and win lane against Arlott. Farsa banned over here so that they couldn't get it. Debatable, but still. And then they banned the Kufra so that they wouldn't, I guess, focus the Valentina. I would have banned Eve as well here, to be honest with you. Then these guys banned out the Akai as well because Akai is good into the Fredrinn, as we have stated before. And okay, so yeah, Cho got picked up. I actually think that the Cho got picked up not because they wanted to play it. Honestly, I think it got picked up because they didn't want to get picked off. Interesting dynamic, but I think that's why it happened. And they got counter big brain because these guys just picked up Franco and Eve. I'm not sure if there's enough burst to support the bloody hunt of Franco. I don't think there is, but in terms of baiting out these ults, yeah, definitely, probably there. I think in terms of a roam pick right here, probably would have been better to go for an Atlas since Diggy was already banned, and he can kind of just, I guess, still yoink on Melissa. But I guess, well, no, actually, no. You still had, actually, Atlas would not have been so good. But Melissa would have, not Melissa, sorry, Lolita would have been okay, just to stop a little bit of the Melissa stuff. But oh, wait, sorry, can't have that, right? Can't have that if you have a Cho. If Cho was XP lane, if that's what they did, here I am thinking Cho is roam, but if Cho is XP lane, okay, yeah, definitely could have had better options. So Lapu was banned, right? And Glue was banned, Joy was banned. And then they had Arlott over here. Yuzong was still open, and that would have done okay. I think that would have been fine because Yuzong would have answered for the bloody hunt on the objectives for like turtles and lords. So yeah, definitely could have been a Yuzong pick if this was XP lane, right? And then the Martis, it does okay into the Fred. We've been over that. It's okay. You could have definitely picked something like a Ling. Ling and Yuzong work together fine. Nothing really there to stop you. I mean, I think it would have been a great pick because then you would have had a lot more damage on the team, right? Yeah, Ling. I think Ling would have been a better pick in my opinion. Bro. All right. Franco with Mathilda Airlines, such a great pair. I tried it. Oh, yeah. I mean that's pretty good because it kind of solves Franco's like no dashes, right? Yeah. Bane. Do I think Bane could have been a good Franco follow-up pick? You mean into a Franco? Oh, you mean with a follow-up into a Franco? I mean Arlott's pretty good in terms of bursting, but not if they build him burst, of course. But in terms of in general, yeah, Bane can do it because Bane's a burst hero. Bedang for sure, yes. Jawhead too, yup. Good night, Saya. Think I'm gonna go eat. Okay, yeah, enjoy your meal, sir. Or ma'am, I'm not sure. Sorry. Alright. Alright. Whoa. What happened to my screen? Okay, there it is. My screen blinked out for a bit here. Okay. Sir? Okay. Enjoy your meal, sir. I'm trying to cope with this with Bean, bro. More coping with Bean. I read a little bit, and it's like aside from Mathilda Airlines and Shadow's questions, it's like, yeah. Don't worry, Bean. Don't worry, Bean. It's okay. Put Bean on the Mathilda Airlines trust. Nah. Put Bean on the Mathilda Airlines. Why not Shiryu? Because Shiryu was pure until he got corrupted. That's why. All right. Ohio Brothers, game 2 here. Let me move along. All right. Joy, Valentina, Fanny Ban. Okay, interesting. And then Fanny, Faramis, Sticky Ban. Okay, Arlott, Eve Pig are interesting. They probably had some Arlott PTSD, didn't want them to have it anymore. I'm not sure what happened here. Not good picks as a first phase picks. They left the Fredrinn and the Kaja, so you could have at least got one or the other, right? But no, they gave them both to the Ohio Brothers, so at that point it was just GG, in my opinion. But anyways, let's proceed. They got Lolita Trust because they were expecting a marksman and didn't want Lolita to get banned out. They ended up not even picking a marksman, so Trust. Melissa got banned out, Claude got banned out, Yuzong got banned out, Akai got banned out. So that limits the jungle pool a little bit for the side of A77. You still had Martis, I guess, if you wanted to. I mean, Lance is still open. I think Lance would have been fine here. And you saw that they didn't have a marksman yet, and you know that, you know, maybe Fred was gonna go jungle. I guess that's what you were expecting, but that didn't happen. So I don't blame you for picking the marksman. I don't blame you for picking the Beatrix. I blame you for picking the Beatrix when you know there was like a Moskov open. You know, like, come on. And you know these guys are melee. You know, Moskov melee, even the Fred melee. You know, you could have gone the Moskov, because then it would have made them force the Fredrinn on jungle. Because any assassin jungler they would have picked would have had a hard time against a Moskov. A harder time than against the Beatrix, at least. Brad's pick, not too bad. Honestly, could have been something else. Could have been. I mean, you could have, in my opinion. Trying to think of a good pick here. Well, they had the suppressed prio over you, so you let that go. I don't know. I guess Baratz is good enough. The only problem is that once you get, once you give them the Fred and the Kaja, and you know they're gonna be dominating you, the only reason you wouldn't get a good Baratz wouldn't be a good pick is if they start invading you and like killing all your camps. Barat's gonna stay small, so that's the only like downside on it, and why I was recommending Lance. Because even if you have Kaja, Lance is still hard to catch, you know. And if it's tanks a lot, he would have survived a little bit longer. Excuse me. This is what I deal with. How could they coffee loving chicken nugget? That nah trust. That's up to you, Shadow. That's up to you. You're the mod here. I'm just a streamer. Trust. All right. So I mean, yeah. I feel like Bean has that evil Kermit do it right there. Like, you know, like the evil Kermit, do it. All right. Last three of them, last three drafts of the night. Thankfully, we talked a little bit about this with Deku. I'll go a little bit more in depth here. Fanny Diggy Wan Wan Band. Oh no, nah. Shadow introducing what is it? Democracy in the chat. Trust. Fredrinn Fredrinn Joy Faramis ban over here. Good bands actually for the first time. And what happened here? Okay, so they picked up Valentina, and they answered that by getting Farsa and Akaja. Not bad. I like that. That's a good choice. Very good choices. Um, they answered that by getting a. I mean, yeah. Well, I can't really argue against that. I guess. Anyways, they answered that with by getting the Yuzong and the Claude. Melissa was open again, and I don't really like that. I mean, for all these, they were open. I mean, Melissa was open every game, but BTK only got Melissa for the second game, which is interesting, but still, they got Claude. Claude's not bad. It's just that what happened later on is that they just locked Hanabi so early on. They know she's not getting banned. You don't have to pick her up. You could have got stronger picks if you wanted to. You didn't. It is what it is. But anyways, they got the Hanabi up. So Hanabi deals with a lot of different types of CC, if you were being real. And she's very good at poking at, like, when people try to do those Lord dances and the turtle dances, especially late game, or like the last turtle, or in the beginning, or any Lord really. She can just poke the Lord and start, like, chopping down anybody's HP of the enemy team. And if there's no real, like, response to it, like as assassin or as a mage, no, like, enemy mage burst to handle the Hanabi, she can really profit a lot. So I still think that Melissa's a clearly superior pick here, but it is what it is, right? Then the bands came in with Lapu, Martis, Atlas, and Lolita. Good choices if you're going to bet on the Hanabi to carry you. Yeah, they had a suppressed Prio, but it got evened out by the Valentina. And then they drafted an Edith, and in response to that, BTK drafted a Grokken and a Kai. So from a draft standpoint, there's absolutely nothing to say other than they being BTK had a superior draft here, in theory. And the alpha pick, we talked about it before. It's tankier. You can build it tanky. There's a lot of slowdowns built in with beta. And there's a knock-up. If you can land it on Claude during his Blazing Duet, then you can stop it, but very difficult to do. Paquito can do everything Alpha does, but better. Faster rotations, more map pressure. It's just a better pick than Alpha. The fact that it worked is crazy. I am not sure what was going through BTK's mental in this game, but it definitely had to play a big role in it because there's just no other way. Edith is underrated, in my opinion. You just have to, you can't forget her. Just because you shut down, Hanabi, Edith does have her own marksman mode. So you can't just forget about her and forget that she didn't get that percent max HP buff, right? So I respect the Edith more than the Alpha. But yeah. Wasians won this one, which is crazy. And then it got wild after that. I'm looking at the last two drafts and they're just extremely wild. So yeah. We can go over why they didn't work, which we will, but it's just got a little bit out of hand after this, in my opinion. And I think this is where I think most people will be watching, so yeah, let me go read the chat again real quick. Majority vote, trust. Y'all got paychecks? Huh? I'm confused now. Is Edith Hanabi the new combo zero, the threat comp? No, I think if you want to draft Edith, I think Edith should be picked when you have a support roam. So like the Kaja for sure, because the way it works is like late game when they want to pick off your support roam, like a Diggy or a Kaja or an Estes, it doesn't matter. Like insert support roam name here. Late game when they want to do that, it's very hard to do that if you have an Edith protecting you. Like especially if they draft a Cho, right? I think she's a very good Cho counter in the late game when Cho tries to do those sets. And he's just really, I mean, she's really good at protecting any type of support roam. I think that's where she shines the most. My opinion. But yeah, I don't think Hanabi and Edith are the new combo. I think maybe if you had Melissa Edith would have been the new combo. So second game of BTK v Wasians, Fredrinn self ban, Valentina Joy self ban on the Joy, Fanny, Diggy, and Wan Wan. Okay, so the Diggy's interesting to be banned out early. But it is what it is. The only reason they banned out the Fredrinn is because they were not planning to take it. They didn't want Zane to have it, so there you have it. I already had a yawn. In terms of why Diggy was banned over Faramis, I don't really understand. I mean, other than the fact that it opens up both Faramis and Kaja. So you have the choice to make. They chose Faramis over the Kaja. But what that does, if you're playing Wasians here, and you know there's a Faramis, you should not be drafting any type of hero that can get suppressed and like suffer to the suppress. And since you guys drafted out the Hanabi every single game, you should have picked up the Kaja over anything else, because Kaja can just flicker ult the Hanabi at any point in the game, and her CC immunity does not work against the suppress. So if you're going to be drafting this all the time, you definitely need to pick up the Kaja, because she just doesn't have any dashes or anything to really avoid it. And she's taking ages other than your flicker. If you pick flicker, and you just have to wait for that to cool down, basically. So yeah, Kaja would have been better if you know you're going to force the Hanabi pick, okay? Regardless, Faramis was picked. Yuzong and Kaja picked up great heroes. I think a Lapu would have been better here to handle the Faramis Cold Altar a little bit better. Edith picked up, again, the Lapu would have been better, but, you know, I digress. Edith's still good, not bad. Hanabi picked up, not good into a Kaja for sure. I do not like that at all. Not good into a Yuzong either. I don't like that. And then they picked up Farsa over here, which is, you know, long range burst damage. You can land a ult or two on Hanabi and just basically delete her HP. She can't dash. She's immobile. Very, you know, very good hero to counter Hanabi with if you're being serious. Okay. Then, Atlas banned, Atlas, Granger, Brody, Martis ban. The Atlas ban was most likely to avoid the pressure on the Farsa and the Kaja, I guess, and to also free up some pressure on Zane. The Granger, it was definitely a target ban for Zane, and the Brody was, I guess, what they thought was better into a Hanabi. I mean, personally, I think that Hanabi purifies. If I'm not mistaken, you can purify Brody's marks, so I'm not sure why Brody was banned. And they got the Melissa picked over here, obviously. So yeah, good choice. They have an Edith. Edith kind of hard to jump on Melissa. And it's also difficult for Faramis. Then they got the Harley, which is crazy here. And the Lolita. So the Lolita was most likely the most. I mean, you could have made Harley work with this comp if you didn't get a Lolita here. So Diggy was banned out and Akai was not picked, right? So you still had a roam open. You could have gotten Akai roam here and got a little bit of a better profit here, in my opinion. And just, I don't know, the Lolita, I don't think there was really a big reason for the Lolita other than the Melissa, really. And yeah, so The Harley could have worked if you had something more engaged type hero. Yeah, like even a Cho could have been better here if you were, to be honest here. Anything really that would have benefited the Harley a little bit better, because Lolita, while she's good at sets and stuff, Harley is more of a single target. He can't really profit off the AoE sets that Loli can produce, right? So, Paquito, very good answer. You could have gone any other type of damagey type jungler, like Julian. Anything really could have worked. Actually, not Julian because of the lolly, but I mean, it still could have worked if you played Julian with the right combos. But you just had way more options here. I mean, like even Hayabusa or Ling would have been great. Can't really counter them over here, and yeah. But they won. I mean, GG's, they won that. But I mean, this is where the incompatibility happened more than anything right here. This Carmilla that they picked up in this other game would have been better right here, because they don't have that type of like ability to either stop a Carmilla like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just think that Loli doesn't really synergize here, and I don't think they would have picked up Lolita. I definitely don't think they would have put Kaja on jungle and picked up a Lolita. But yeah. All right. BTK Vs Wasians Game 3. This one was a little bit interesting because I saw like a lot of debut picks, especially up here. I mean, Pac was a debut pick, Harley was a debut pick, Alpha was a debut pick. Down here, YSS was a debut pick for the top 8 at least. So gotta add a lot of names to the list. BTK banned out Fanny, Diggy, and Wan Wan. I've noticed that BTK really likes to ban out Diggy a lot, so it just probably just messes a lot with their drafting. But yeah, Wasians banned out the Fredrinn, the Joy, and the Kaja. These are way better bans than their second phase bans, in my opinion. Then they picked up Valentina. Okay, understandable. Right here is where I don't like their draft. Like, I mean, the Faramis is fine, but they didn't get the Lolita. Like, Faramis Lolita should have been like picked here immediately, not the Terizla. It is what it is. BTK then got the Cho and the Lapu to deal with the Faramis. Remember what I said, Lapu good into Faramis. You could have got the Lolita here. You could have got the Lapu here. You could even got the Melissa here. It doesn't matter. The point is that they got the Cho and the Lapu to answer the Faramis and anything else, really. So that was answered by picking up a Terizla and no, sorry, not Terizla. By picking up a Hanabi. Again, if you're gonna pick her, it's fine, I guess, if you pick her here, unless you're gonna be sacrificing heroes to be picked, which is where it's not fine. All you have to do is really draft someone who's stronger than Hanabi in lane, and then they win because they know you're picking it regardless. With that being said, they banned out Kufra and Lolita. That right there should have been like screaming out alarm bells. Okay, so like you banned Melissa, okay, fair enough. They banned out Kufra. That should have right then and there told you, oh yeah, they're gonna get dash heroes, like alarm bells ringing, beep 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 beep, right? And then so like Zane is gonna get a dash hero, maybe another Paquito, maybe another Granger, anything. It's just dash type hero. So then they banned Granger, but the real ban, I mean, if you really wanted to do that, your real ban should have been something that Kufra counters. So obviously, I know as we said we weren't gonna get into hero pools and stuff, but that would have been like a good idea to ban Fanny if it were any other team, basically. But yeah, just FYI, I know you banned Granger because it's Zane, but yeah, Fanny would have been a better choice here. And then on your first pick, right? On your first pick, you could have had a what do you call it? A Phoveus. A Phoveus here, instead of getting Terizla so early. See what I mean? If you had that Lolita I talked about earlier, a Lolita and a Hanabi, you could have got Phoveus here, and just denied this pick in advance, because you know with those bans you know they're going for a dash hero. They have enough dashes already with Valentina, with Cho, with Lapu, right? They have enough dashes in there to sustain a Phoveus already. Just you lost the chance to get the Phoveus because of the Terizla pick. Regardless, you picked Hayabusa. Knowing they have these picks right here, there's nothing really to stop a Ling on your side either, so I think Ling would have been better. Or Fanny even. There's nothing really to stop you. And you just profit, you know, by going through them, right? Any assassin they would have drafted or any burst, you got countered with Cold Altar. But, I mean, at the same time, it could have got stolen by Valentina. So, I guess if you go by that logic, you can argue that. But even then, you just need something to burn that Cold Altar or burn Valentina's ultimate. So, I think Ling would have been better here. And then you avoid a lot of the split push. What you're going to have to realize is when you lost this previous game, how you lost it and how BTK played. And in no right brain cells should you have picked Carmilla as a last pick, because you already knew, okay? You already knew they had Harith and YSS. Diggy's banned. And the way Harith and YSS work, along with Valentina and all this, is that the fact that you can draft a roamer here to support your Terizla, because your Terizla is your front line, literally. So if you would have got an Estes right here, you would have been way better off, because Hanabi is immobile, so she's going to be around you no matter what, and so is Terizla. But the difference from that is that you would have had enough time for Hanabi's petals to work over the damage coming out from them. They had a really strong burst, but with both Cold Altars activated, the Fermus Estus Cold Altar plus Estus heal would have been superior, and you actually would have had a really good chance against BTK if you would have just traded this out for a Ling and an Estus. Like that's all you had to do. It wasn't like scuffed. It's not like Hanabi and Terizla couldn't have worked. It's just the wrong picks into this type of comp. And even if you had Hayabusa, no matter what, like you were determined to get Hayabusa, an Estes would have been better here. You have the tankiness for it through Terizla and through the Cold Altar and through Hanabi, who has to be immobile, right? You have the heroes that would make Estes work. You just decided not to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. Hi Shoya, welcome back. Excuse me. All right. With that being said, that pretty much is everything. Thankfully, my throat is dying. Tomorrow I get to have access to the new UI. I don't think I'll stream it because I'm gonna be tired from today. But I might record a video and upload it with the new UI and my opinions on it, which is easier because I only have to say it once. But I'm definitely interested for that. But yeah, an Ube Hanabi comp would be very good. Yeah, I think it would be meta even if you could do it right. An Ube, but defying the Ube logic by taking an assassin jungle. An assassin Ube with the Hanabi marksman. That's crazy. Hanabi Edith, Valentina / Faramis, Estes, and Ling, Fanny, Lance. Insert assassin jungle name here. That could work. If Wasians want to do that, you know, feel free to do it. I don't think anybody's going to stop you in NACT from doing that, Wasians. Yeah, so unless you guys have any other questions about any heroes or comps or stuff like that, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to start to round off the stream, or statistics on the heroes, because I have those pulled up as well right here. So, yeah. I think the highest win rates heroes, you know, apart from the ones that don't count because they haven't had that many games, Yeah, I think it starts right here. Above 70%, we have Fanny, Franco, Estes, Granger, Terizla, Wan, Kaja, and Kufra. So there you go. A lot of the people we were mentioning earlier. Granger has a pretty high win rate, actually. Faramis up here. But yeah. Alright. Well, we're gonna go ahead and round this off because it is anybody contact with Wasians. A lot of people do. Yue does. So if you check out Yue, he could get you into contact with Wasians. Hey, yo, Wasians, want to try the Hanabi Ube strat? Shadow abusing his powers? I don't think so. I trust him. What card do you use? I use a car for work and a different car for going out. So yeah, I use a Nissan Altima for work and a Camaro for going out. Will Angela Hanabi ever be? Why is Chat-kun pop broken right here? What in the Chat-kun? I think it's just a skill issue from Chat-kun. Chatbox-kun dead here. What the heck? Oh wait, it's the wrong one. Okay. Sorry about that. So give me a sec, Shadow. Give me a sec here. Almost deleted that. Sorry. Gotta scroll down now. Damn it. Yeah, Angela Hanabi from early game, fighter assassin to late game. No, I don't think it would work because, I mean, maybe if you drafted Edith, I mean, it's the same idea as having an Estes, right? But, like, it's not the same. Estes is just better. And, you know, you can't pick off, I mean, you could pick off Estes as easy as you could Angela, but it's harder to check bushes and stuff. At least Estes can check bushes. But yeah. How am I the corruptor? All I know is that he was good until he came here. So yeah, I was actually asking ML questions too. All right, bye Shoyo. Good night. Good night. Good night. Tips. Bean. Shiryu. I think that's you. Good night, guys. Yeah. Bye bye. I'm gonna go to bed because it's like, what time is it even? Oh my goodness. Oh my god, it's 1:30 a.m. Good night, good night.